ఇప్పుడు ఓకే. నిన్న ఆన్లైన్లో ఉండే కదా, ఓరం లేదు స్విచ్లో అన్నాడు స్విచ్లో
ఎలక్షన్ after an hour it will start. Half an hour. This is formal. Only that one. This remaining
బ్రైట్నెస్ ఓకేనా? ఓకే. ఓకేనా? ఇది ఆడియో సౌండ్ Hello. 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 Hello.
Good morning, Professor Belford. I'm looking forward to hearing you speak. I'll be speaking just after you.
Somebody is asking questions. Can you hear us, sir?
Just ask the laptop is not connected. Connect to my passport. Connect to my passport.
Okay, Pawan
Passport. Yes. 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 Wait.
Yeah, hello.
Ask Belford.
Yeah. Mr. Belford? Professor Belford?
Yes.
Are you able to hear us? Hello? Hello? Yeah.
He's speaking.
Good evening.
Hello?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Yeah, I think I'm audible. Audible. Sir, I think every. So I welcome all. And a little delay in tuning up things. So I really take this pleasure to welcome all the dignitaries over here. Welford sir, our President Dr. Basavara sir, past President Sethuram sir, sir, past President Venkateshwar sir, Shri Praveen Secretary, Ravijit Ghosh, and to start this gathering, I would like to hear Dr. Sethuram sir. Dr. is a past president, 2015, so a technocrat entrepreneur, co-founder of Insta Industries Limited, and having over 35 years experience, funded turnkey projects and technology providing other plants. You are chairman of HRC 2002, and hosted the last.
Not audible.
We can't hear it. We can't hear you.
Not audible.
Sir, not audible, sir.
Hello. Hello.
Double, not audible.
Yes, sir. Now audible. Yes, sir. Now audible.
Very feeble, ma. Very, very feeble.
Hello.
Now better.
Hello. Stop.
So, am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes.
Sir. Am I audible now, sir?
Yeah.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Now audible, now audible.
Hello. So,
Vijay sir, you are audible.
hello.
It's okay.
Hello. Yeah. So, supposed to introduce Sethuraman sir. He is the past president, IICHE 2015, a technocrat inter 35 years of experience, specialist in chemical plant and machinery,
Hello,
and
sir.
handle turnkey projects and technology providing pilot plants. He was a chairman of IICHE HRC 2002 and hosted when they hosted the last prior to this. So, and also a guru to us. And I would request now Sethuraman sir to take it ahead and please.
Not audible.
Nothing is audible.
Evening. Welcome one and all for this valedictory function plenary lecture as well as closing ceremony. I take great pleasure in welcoming the chief guest as well as the plenary lecture to be addressed by Professor George S. Belfort and also guest of honors for this valedictory function. I take great pleasure now in introducing Professor George S. Belfort, who has been chosen as one of the 100 chemical engineers of the modern era by American Institute of Chemical Engineers as part of the centennial celebration. Professor George Belfort, PhD, holds Endowed Institute Chair of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, Troy, New York, USA since 2011. He was educated in chemical engineering, University of Cape Town, South Africa, and the University of California at Irvine, both MS and PhD degrees. He was elected to the US National Academy of Engineering in 2003. Dr. Belfort currently chairs the managing board of the Society of Biological Engineers, New York, 2004 onward till date. He is the past president and co-founder of the North American Membrane Society. He frequently serves on the scientific advisory board for various centers and institutions. He has won several US national awards, including the 2017 Food, Pharmaceutical and Bioengineering Division Distinguished Service Award in Chemical Engineering, the 2016 RPI Best Teacher Award in Engineering, 2014 Alan S. Michaels Award for Innovation in Membrane Science and Technology, the 2008 American Chemical Society Award in Industrial and Engineering Chemistry, and 2000 American Institute of Chemical Engineers Grehold Award in Separation Science and Technology. Dr. Belfort's research has covered many aspects of
separation science and engineering as applied to the medical and biotechnology,
bioseparations and fundamental aspects of protein aggregation and surface interaction. He and his students were the first to directly measure concentration polarization. He developed a new solvent resistant membrane. Dr. Joel Plasky has linked microstructure of porous membranes with performance. Professor Marlene Belfort, a molecular biologist and distinguished
professor of New York
University of Dr. Belfort has developed a novel high throughput method for synthesizing and cleaning membrane surfaces in addition. They focused on in vitro kinetics of protein misfolding and on the behavior of proteins at solid substrates and interfaces. Dr. Belfort has consulted with major industrial companies in the USA, Europe, and Japan. He also teaches a short course at biotechnology and membrane companies including Merck, General Electric, Sanofi, Novo Nordisk, and DSM Netherlands, and WL Gore. Professor Belfort is not new to IICHE and CHEMCON and HRC. He last addressed us. This is going to be his second address to CHEMCON. He last addressed in 2002 at this very Hyderabad. Welcome, Professor Belfort. The floor is to Belfort.
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to tell you that I'm very honored to be speaking again at CHEMCON 2020. It's very special for me. And I would also like to thank for being asked to be the chief guest and to give a talk. I hope this talk will be of interest to you. It's quite controversial. It's a new idea we've come up with, and I'd like to show it to you. Also, I would like to mention that it's an honor for me to be associated with Mr. Nair, Dr. Sainath, Professor Day, Professor Basava Rao, and Professor Rao, MV Rao, and Mr. Saxena. Also like to thank the coordinators, that is Bandurajai and also Ghosh. So, and finally, I would like to thank Mr. Sathuraman for nominating my name and for reading out some of the awards and my background. Also, you may want to know that his son, Dr. Sathuraman, was a PhD student in my group some years ago. And so we have a good connection. And Mr. Thuraman and his family came to visit me in Troy, New York, about 2 years ago. So let me put my talk up. I'm going to share it with you, if I may. Let's see, we can get it to, I've got it here for a presentation. I just hope it comes up. I'm not sure you can see it. Can you see the talk?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes,
Just put
sir.
your finger
Yes,
up.
sir.
That will help me. I'm getting good with fingers these days. And so let me show you the first slide. It says here that I'm muted. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, so I'm ready to start. Let me begin. I'm going to try to do this quickly in about 40 minutes. And I'm going to give you what I think is quite an interesting talk. I'll try to be more general so that you can understand where we're going and what we're trying to do. Membrane filtration with liquids, unresolved challenges. I'd like to show you what we know and what we don't know in this field. Filtration seems a very simple process. However, making membranes that are highly efficient is not so simple. And what I'd like to do is to add to the title here, and let me see, I'm not, for some reason, it's not going forward. There we go. So what I'd like to introduce for you is something completely new, and that is a methodology to look for optimal performance and optimal design. And I call it in vitro selection for membrane development, and it's based on some work recently by a chemical engineer, and I'll come up with that later. Now, this field of membrane technology is uniquely quintessential for chemical engineers. Why are we special in this field? The reason is that most other engineers or chemists cannot do all these 4 circles that I've highlighted here. Fluid mechanics and mass transfer. So when the fluid flows across a membrane, the membrane is in yellow here, you have to put this. What's happening? Oh, can you hear me now?
Yes.
There's something wrong.
Some echo is there.
I'm sorry.
Some echo.
I think somebody has made 2 systems on, and that should be avoided. Don't keep 2 systems on.
Okay. I don't know why it's. Let me stop sharing for a minute. Can you hear me now? Yeah, but
There is a lot of echo.
there's
Echo
clearly
is
a
there.
problem here.
Systems are on. If the 2 systems are on, it will be always echo.
I don't know what's happening. Let me go back. But we can't continue in this. This is really crazy. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
it's
now.
okay, sir.
Now it appears to
That,
be
that
okay.
so I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know what's happening here.
Now it's okay.
Yes, sir. You are okay. You are audible.
Is it okay now?
Yes, please.
Excellent. All right. All right. So let's continue. Let me go back to the screen where I had the screen. Let's see. It's this screen. I have to share again. Sorry, I switched off the screen because I didn't know what was happening. I need to get back to the screen. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I'm trying to get this talk back up. Can you see the screen or not? I haven't.
No.
Not. Okay, let's try again. We're going to share screen. And then I will go to application window and go to here. Presentation, share screen. I think in person it's always nicer than having struggles on the internet. Just for some reason it's not coming through. Shift, command, shift, command, A. No. So my question is, can you hear me? Number one.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, I don't know what the problem is, but I'm going to continue.
So you need to share your screen, sir.
Okay, thank you for telling me. That's really important because I did share it and I knocked it out because I thought it would not work. So let's go back.
Can you stop once and then start again sharing?
Yes, I can try to. I'm going to find out how to do that. Usually it's easy, but right now we have a problem in that for some reason
so you see the green button share at the bottom?
I don't. That's the problem.
I think you need to keep your mouse there for a while so that the options come up. They might have been hidden.
Yeah, thank you. I'm looking. Now I see at the top of the screen.
You see one arrow button? It's kind of a
no, it was here before, but it's disappeared right now.
Another way it could be just come out from the system again, join with the Zoom, you'll get everything back.
All right, I'm going to just go out, okay? And I'll come back in.
Yes.
All right,
Professor, Professor, can you start sharing your screen? Hello.
Sir, you are audible.
Is my audio audible? Is my voice audible? This is Pawan Veldandi, Dr. Pawan Veldandi.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think there is some problem with.
Yes, sir. You are audible. You are audible.
Yeah. Professor, if you can send the presentation to me, I can share. Is that okay?
Pawan,
Yes, sir.
I think we have lost contact with him, na?
Okay, I will ask Professor Basarao to call him on his mobile.
Please.
Yeah, give me 2 minutes.
Yes.
He is back now. He's there very much on the screen.
Now he is there.
Yes, Professor, we can see you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Professor.
Okay, I'm going to move very fast now. I'm very sorry about this. I don't know if it's what's going on here, but let's get the thing up. Okay, can you see the screen that I have here?
No, you didn't share it yet, Professor.
I'm sorry?
You didn't share it yet.
I'm sharing now.
Yes, we can see it now. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Let's get going.
Yes.
All right. What I'm going to do is to put this on slideshow, and now you should be able to see it.
Yes, Professor. Please go ahead.
All right. This is good, right?
Yes, yes.
Let me go back to the very beginning. All right. So what I was saying was that this is a quintessential chemical engineering challenge in that we chemical engineers understand fluid mechanics and mass transfer. We also understand module design, how to put this project, this whole system in, this cross flow, how to do interfacial phenomena, that is the interactions between particles and themselves and particles and membranes. And finally, polymer surface chemistry, how to make polymer membranes. Today, over 95% of all membranes are made from polymers, even though there's a major effort to look at inorganic membranes. And so after 70 years, this cross-disciplinary complex area has been very successful. In fact, membrane processes with liquids are mature, accepted. We get good performance, easy scale up, low energy costs, modular compact construction, and low operating costs compared with thermal systems. So what's the problem? Well, the problem is that we have 3 legs we have to worry about on this table. Selectivity, number 1, or rejection. Capacity, how much you can pass through, to make it commercially interesting, and concentration, polarization, and fouling, which are the Achilles heel of this system. What I showed you earlier is this blue area is fluid flowing across a very thin membrane, which is yellow. And unfortunately, 99% of all work has been done, beautiful work, outside the membrane. And I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about what's happening in this little yellow area where the thin membrane is. And so I'd like to tell you the major challenges are selectivity and mass transport to, away, and from the membrane and in the membrane. And I'd like to show you that if you look at the structure of the membrane, we will try to understand how transport occurs through this little thin yellow layer that I just showed you. And what we're going to look at is in the membrane and connect the morphology to the structure. So I started off by telling you that selectivity is the most important thing. It's number one here. You can see that. And so I thought what we do is spend about 10 minutes looking at the perfect selective membranes that nature gives us. And so nature is giving us membranes that have perfect selectivity. In fact, if I hit you can see here, if I plot selectivity against flux through the membrane, the permeation rate per unit time, per unit area, you can see selectivity is very high for a natural membrane, but its flux is very low. And so the permeation rates per unit area are slow. The scale up is a challenge if you want to use nature's idea. And we basically, our body is full of hollow fibers, mostly membranes that are made like hollow fibers for very large surface area. So this is not the way industry has worked. What we would like to do is we have very much higher fluxes with reasonable selectivities. And the question is, can we learn some rules from nature? And so I'd like to discuss how we could learn rules and maybe emulate nature and see if we can get some information from this. So can we approach selectively what nature is doing? So let's look at two nature selectors. One is a water selector on the left. It's called aquaporin, and it passes water through this protein complex from the outside to the inside, 10 to the 8, 10 to the 9 water molecules per second per channel. Very fast and lots of water going through. Second, proteins. How do you take large proteins, say 40 kilodaltons, very big ones, and how do they get passed through a selective membrane and get from the outside to the inside of the nucleus? And this complex is called the nuclear pore complex. You get about 1,000 translocation events per second per one of these nuclear pore complexes. So let's start with the Nobel Prize winner, Peter Agra, that showed us how a water molecule goes through a channel. And I'm going to just show you this channel and have a look at the yellow molecule. And you can see it going along a channel that is basically 1/10 the cross section of the total protein. Inside this channel, the walls are all coated or mostly coated with hydrophobic amino acids. So it's a hydrophobic channel for water going through. And then eventually, if you notice, the yellow molecule is hitting a switch right in the middle, and it rotates 180 degrees and moves down the channel backwards from the switch, this amino acid switch. And so what are the rules that we can learn from this water channel if we want to make a desalination membrane? The lessons are, it's a hydrophobic channel, which is unusual because most reverse osmosis membranes are not hydrophobic, they're hydrophilic. The internal polar switch, which we don't have in our membranes, it is about 3 angstroms in diameter, and it has 1/10 of the surface porosity that I mentioned earlier, which is not so good for us. We must have a higher porosity in order to get more water through quickly. The length is very interesting. There are only about 7 molecules in this channel. So it's very, very short. It's of the order of 2 nanometers, about 12 angstroms, something like that, to 20 angstroms. And the selectivity is 1. So we learned some lessons from this. And maybe the idea is to make channels that are hydrophobic and very, very short. Let's go to see if we can actually copy such a channel. I'm not sure you're aware that the natural aquaporin looks like this, but there is a French chemist, Barboy, Michael Barboy, which is a colleague and friend of mine. He found out that if you take an imidazole quartet, that is, if you take 4 different imidazoles around, and what they do is they assemble in a flat structure, and underneath them another set assembles and another set assembles in this lipid bilayer. And the question was, what do these water molecules do in a small hole along the center? Can we get desalination? And the answer is yes. Marboy and an expert in some frequency generation, which is a spectroscopic method that can look at the first few layers to see what is the water structure. And what you see here very easily is that these water structures is in a collaboration between myself, Barboy, and Peterson at Cornell. We showed that the water structure, this peak, is a measure of the orientation and chirality of the water inside such a channel. And so the water is highly ordered, highly oriented, and moves through like one by one through a channel. Recently, Barboy sent me this paper from Nature Nanotechnology, where it just came out, in which they took these structures, these imidazole structures, and they added it to a membrane using a technique called interfacial polymerization. And you can see the blue segments here are these in the membrane. And then what they did together with Susanna Nunes from KAUST in Saudi Arabia, they were able to increase the performance when you plot rejection or selectivity against permeance, how much is going through per unit pressure. And what you can see is they were able to push it up all the way up to here, to this blue dot, which is some 40% higher than the best commercial membrane and very close in selectivity. We are not yet at a selectivity of 100% or 1, and so we still got room to move. But this is a fabulous result, and it's the first time we have emulated such a event. I'd like to now start again and maybe tell you about the protein separator. So this is a protein selector called the nuclear pore complex, and this movie is from Rod Lim in Biocentrum in Basel. What you can see here is there are 4 components I'm going to tell you about. And that is, how does a molecule get from the top to the bottom here through the spaghetti? The cargo, if it's red, it has no recognition sequence on it, so it cannot get through. It needs to have a recognition sequence shown by the green cargo. And then what the green cargo does is it interacts with the carrier-ferrin, just like a bus would pick you up at a bus station and take you to another position and then drop you off. So this carrier-ferrin has 2 types of affinity groups, one that can recognize the cargo and one that can recognize the spaghetti, the nuclear porin, which is a spaghetti, which is an FG NUPS, and what happens is, let me show you the movie. This is a beautiful movie that shows you the red one, you notice, does not go through, while the green one comes along, gets captured by the carrier-ferrin. It easily gets through the spaghetti and gets through to the other side. And then it releases its cargo, and it's done. And there the cargo is released at the nucleus, and it can be used to keep us alive. So what we thought we'd do is take the spaghetti, and you can see here the spaghetti is, each molecule is a very large molecule. It's 58,000 Daltons, or 58 kilodaltons. And this is the sequence. It goes from M to K on the left. And what we did was we took the full spaghetti, and here it is. And then we took a small segment of it just to see if this FSFG is a sequence that can actually catch the carrier ferrite. We then took a control, and this is only 14.2 kilodaltons, and we took a control and replaced all the Fs, that is the hydrophobic part, with S's, which is OH. And then these serines then give you OH on this particular synthetic piece that we made. So we have three types: the original membrane spaghetti, a small piece, and an affinity group that does not have a control. This work was done in collaboration with Brian Chait and Mike Trout at Rockefeller University in New York City. Brian Chait is a very famous mass spectrometer person. He actually did all the work for the potassium channel, and eventually his colleague got the Nobel Prize at Rockefeller, Rod McKinnon. So let's have a look at this natural versus artificial versus control. What you see with the natural is if you add Cap9 to this, the measure here is if you go from 0 down, you're absorbing material on it. That's a measure of weight, how much mass is attaching. So we add Cap, and we add it at different concentrations, 1 micromole, 3 micromoles, and 9 micromoles. And you can see a very nice spectrum that eventually when you get to this point, you wash it out and it all comes back. So the Cap can attach to the spaghetti molecule, which is called an FG-NUP, and it can do it reversibly, beautifully, you can see here. We get the exact same profile with the artificial affinity group. And so although the profile is not as large, because of course I showed you that the active sites are much smaller, we took a small component of it. And then finally, the control, you do not see the spread out of this as a function of concentration. This is a non-specific binding effect on the right side. So what is the lessons we've learned from this protein separator, as opposed to an ultrafilter or a microfilter that we use in industry today? You need to use facilitated transport, multiple affinity binding, diffusion is driven with no fouling, and again, hydrophobic interactions are critical, and the selectivity is 1. We have published a paper on this whole work, Hayama in PLOS One last year, 2019. I just wanted to bring to your attention that in 1976, Professor Alan Michaels, a very famous, one of the foundation people of membrane technology, he started the first company called, I think, what was it called? CHEMCON, Alan Michaels, CHEMCON, before 1976. But he wrote this summary paper and said, you could use this technology in current membranes. You can place, for example, fixed sites that would be affinity, say, for carbon dioxide versus nitrogen. Nitrogen doesn't see any of it. It just goes through with some physical diffusion. But this CO2 can jump along it in fixed sites, or it can go into a mobile carrier, like I showed you a few minutes ago for the nuclear pore complex. And Winston Ho at Ohio State is doing this now and looking at it. So he's looking at a similar way of transporting material through. Let me now go back to the major challenges of membrane technology. Why do they work not as well as we'd like them to work? What don't we know? So we don't know anything about the concentration, polarization, and fouling for industrial feeds. And so that means we can't scale them up in a way. We have to build pilot plants to scale them up. There are a lot of industrial people listening today, and they all know very clearly, unless you check it first, you can have a disaster later. And this is really not well known, and people don't talk about it. But we need to understand fouling and concentration polarization. So some many years ago, a PhD student of mine and I, together with a physicist, built a unit to measure concentration polarization for the first time. And so we have published that in chemical engineering communications. More recently, Barua and myself, one of my Indian students who came and was an expert on milk separation, came, and what we did was we actually predicted the first fouling using a computer prediction for fouling on a membrane. And so we're trying to use computers to do that. And then finally, I've summarized all of this in a new review paper, Angavanga Chemie, that I published about a year ago. The next problem we don't know is how do we make membranes with predicted pore size distribution? We can't do that today. The methods that you make membranes are called phase inversion or interfacial polymerization. These two methods are statistical methods, and we don't really know how to predict the pore size distribution, and therefore we can't make a membrane by structure by design, and so the selectivity suffers. And we cannot even match the pore size distribution with an industrial feed. We can make a tight membrane or an open membrane, but we can't make details. And so we've actually made an attempt. One of my latest Indian students, Ramesh, and he and a whole group of us have started to build new membranes with bottle brushes. And the idea is you can actually build what you have, cross-link it, and then see if you can make these membranes for structure by design. Sorchi et al. Published a paper this year also on Journal of Membrane Science. And what we've got is the rest of this talk. I'll talk about this paper that we've just published. Finally, it's hard to believe, but you can actually build a desalination membrane today, and the desalination plants today are larger than the largest oil refinery plants. And these desalination plants work beautifully. They can desalinate, but we have no idea how the membrane works. There's no accepted theory on how desalination membranes work. And if you want to read about that, a student of mine in Brogna and myself in the journal Desalination published a whole paper on reviewing the desalination mechanisms that we currently know. So what I want to talk about today is number two. I want to expand this, and I'd like to tell you that in order to study the pore size distributions and the effect on particle transport, what we need is a tool. And the tool, what we want to do is develop this tool, and I'll discuss it in a few minutes. Why do polymer membranes have relatively poor selectivity? The first reason is the pore size distributions are wide. The second is it's a polymer, so it's flexible. And if it's flexible, you can't have basically a perfect separation. And so you need to increase its rigidity and cross-link it and maybe pyrolyze the membrane. That's what people are doing now. This was first done at the atomic energy plant in Israel, and then brought to America. And now there are groups together with Exxon. What they're doing is they're making hollow fibers and basically increasing their rigidity using pyrolization. The next problem is you can have some free volume inside these membranes, but you lose it. It starts to densify and age. And so you need to cross-link these additives that give you more free volume. Finally, you need to describe the kinetics of these two processes I mentioned earlier, phase inversion and interfacial polymerization. McHugh and Smulders did beautiful work in the 1990s, but everybody seems to have forgotten about it. These are random fluctuation properties that make membranes. And so we don't really know what we're making. And then I'd like to address an ignored concept that which we call flow channeling inside a membrane. There's a new tool, internal structure with performance, and develop new optimal structural designs. And so we want to see how to get this tool to help us understand how these membranes are doing and how their morphology changes. And so we will try to focus on this from now on for the rest of the talk. So let's look at the global directed evolution. I need to tell you what this is. So if you take a protein, say an enzyme, which is a catalyst, for those of you who are not in the biotech area, you take a regular catalyst, here is it's a protein. And what you do is you look at its sequence, it's a DNA sequence that makes this protein. And if what you do is you make errors in it, you use a technique called error-prone PCR, and you make lots of these proteins, but induce errors, random errors all over. These random errors then can take your original protein, let's say it has a productivity of 1, and make new proteins, all associated with their own DNA. And so you have a whole library of new proteins that are the result of making errors. These new proteins, 99% of them will have a productivity less than 1 than your original parent gene or parent protein. However, 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 may be a higher value. It may be 10 times or 100 times or 1,000 times higher than this parent protein or enzyme. And so the productivity, so you need to select it. So you have a selection and screen. You throw away the ones you don't want, which is about 99%. You keep the few that we want. You either evolve it or you take it again and go through the process again. So this process, some of you may recognize that Frances Arnold, our first woman chemical engineer in the history of the Nobel Prize, received a Nobel Prize for this process, for making and popularizing this process. She did not invent it. It was invented by 3 other people. 2 of them got the Nobel Prize with her. A co-winner of the Nobel Prize to work on enzymes. And she showed beautifully. She's a chemical engineer. She got a degree at Berkeley with Harvey Blanche. She went to Caltech and is a professor there now for 20 years and is a fantastic scientist. And so we should all be very proud that our first woman got this Nobel Prize for popularizing this methodology. I just want to have a drink of water. So now I'm going to ask you all, can we use this directed evolution, or what's also called in vitro evolution? If you want to look it up, you can look it up in Wiki. And you can see, can we use it for making better membranes than our current best membrane? So I'm going to show you a procedure that I think we can. So first of all, we need a tool that combines fluid mechanics and intermolecular forces to study how stuff moves through the membrane. And the stuff we're going to use are particles. So we can take a membrane. Here's a commercial membrane that is exactly this membrane. And what we do is pass little red particles through in a computer, and we screen and select to ask how it performs. And what you notice immediately is the particles are going down little channels like rivers. We can also mutate or change that structure by changing the procedure that we made it, or we can change it radically, just change the design and have, for example, as particle move through a teardrop structure and any other structure. And once we do that, we've got our mutations. And
Professor, you are on mute. Professor, you are on mute.
now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. All right, let's go. Can you see the, I need to share
please.
again.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just share it quickly.
Yes, we can see the screen now.
Can you see? Just a sec. Can you see now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I don't know why it went mute. So the idea here is to copy or emulate this process of, it's called SELEX, S-E-L-E-X, this biological process of looking for winners. And we'll see if the idea we can use it to do it for membrane production. By the way, it's not only membrane production. You can produce other systems this way by looking for errors and improving your performance. And eventually, what you do is you get an evolved membrane by going round and round, making more changes, and eventually you get the best one you want. And so the idea is to use a tool that we've developed here. We're in silico, and use the computer to help us first understand and not build hundreds of membranes, but build them on a computer so that we can save time and save money and save effort. And then develop work. We are now working on mutations and changes, and we're developing a screen for the laboratory also. We've been doing that in the lab too. We have a provisional patent which we've just applied for, and so we're very excited about this idea. So let me show you how the tool is built. Let's talk about the tool. Now, chemical engineers know that you need to understand fluid mechanics and drag of particles inside a membrane, a porous membrane. And so here we've got our fluid mechanics, Navier-Stokes equations. We can take them, we can add the forces due to particle-particle interaction, and we can add the forces due to particle-membrane interaction, the green ones. And when we do that, we can combine the particle and fluid drag mechanics together with the forces, and this is being done by, the measurements of the forces were done by Mirko Sorci, and the theory is being done by my student from China, Chengyu Guan. Now, if we look at the morphology, we can take pictures of the morphology. We can take a tight membrane on the left. This is the top, the middle, and the bottom. We can do a more open membrane, a 5-micron polyether sulfone membrane from Paul Corporation, and we can image the inside of the membrane. And then what we can do is we can provide a domain for flow in the computer. And so here is an example in large scale. Again, I showed you the blue one earlier. Can you see the particles coming in? Can you hear me, by the way? Yes?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, just say yes. That's all. Thank you. Yes. And so particles are going in. And so on the computer, the white space here, the white segments, all these are from a real image of a real membrane. The particles are not. We are putting those in the computer and asking them to tell us where they go. And what you immediately see is channeling. And so I want to continue on and show you how we measure the forces. So we want to measure the forces where the two blue arrows are here. That's force between silica and silica. These are silica particles that we used, and they're 1 micron in diameter. And then, of course, we're going to also look at particle membrane interactions. So I need to show you how you measure forces. On the left side is a force profile. That is, you come in from the left, you bring the two surfaces together until they get close. When they get close, you get a repulsive force. They don't want to get closer. This may be due to water between them that you have to push out. It may be due to the fact that they're both the same charge, or they have different properties. And so you get a repulsive force. Then if you get the two surfaces to touch with the black arrow coming down, you start pulling them apart. When you pull the two surfaces apart now, they jump out. When they jump out with the red arrow, you can measure the adhesion force. So I would like to show you that we can measure repulsion forces and adhesion forces directly between two surfaces. And we want to know them so we could put that into the Navier-Stokes equations, add the forces, and so that you have the full complement of interaction. Let me just show you, to do this run that I show you here, used to take us days, and to do many of them would take months. So I sent my postdoc to Rod Lim's lab in Basel, Switzerland, where they taught us how to do a force map in an afternoon. So you can do 400 force measurements in one afternoon. Not all of them work out. Only the white ones are the good measurements. The black ones are dead measurements. And in fact, the gray ones are in between. So we can fit a theory, if you look at the top right, to the repulsion part. And then we're going to see if we can measure the adhesion part too. The DLVO theory is a very famous theory from 1945 for Derriehagen, Landauer, Vermeer, and Overbeek. I met Overbeek in Australia some 35 years ago. And what they did was they came up with this two parameter system, electrostatics and van der Waals forces. A is the Hammaker constant. It's how sticky this system is. So if we can fit this equation to this experimental result, we can get out A, how sticky the surface is, and we can get out the potential at the surface through Z. Z is in the first term, the electrostatic term. And so we also need to worry about the salt concentration, and that's little kappa. You see kappa here, kappa to the -1 is the Debye length. And so as you increase the salt, you will see in a minute that the Debye length gets smaller and smaller. So let's have a look at the results quickly. I've got two sets here, very quick for you. The first one on the left is the silica with a silica wafer. So it's really to emulate particle-particle interactions. And we've got a series of measurements. And the second one is the silica with the membrane, polyether sulfone membrane. It's a hydrophilic modified membrane. It's not actually regular polyether sulfone membrane. And when you add salt, as you see with this arrow, the blue arrow, the numbers, the whole profiles get squashed in, because what you're doing is you're pushing the double layer in and in and in, and the whole system looks like it's smaller. The membrane looks like it's got a bigger pore, and the particle looks like it's actually smaller than it appears. And so these numbers, all these numbers in the blocks, give us the adhesion forces and the surface potential, and we can put them all in to the Navier-Stokes equation. The second issue was, how do particles get lifted off a surface? And so here are the same three measurements with particle measurement forces on the horizontal scale in piconewtons. And so we can now add a computer program to try to predict these and fit to these data, and then use that in the Navier-Stokes equation. So finally, we combined the model, and I'd like to show you how we combined everything together. We take the membrane, we use image J to image the membrane, the cross-section. We then take that and that whole sequence of data that we get from image J, which is free from NIH, it's a free program, and then you put it into a simulation and you can actually get the real membrane on your computer. You then want to combine the continuum flow model on the left with the ionic species transport, how concentrated and where's the double layer. You could see how we're showing you the concentration versus double layer. And then eventually we can look at the surface charge density on each surface of the membrane, and then we can predict particle tracking in the final thing. Let me show you how it works. So here is a set of particles coming in, all at the top at different positions. They all enter at a series of positions at the top, and they seem to go through channeling and all come out at very dense channels, which is very bad for separation, which tells us this is an extremely poor membrane. And this is the best known commercial membrane that we have. And so I'd like to just end by showing you a few guiding design principles. I've just shown you this best commercial membrane. Let's use this silicon, this tool that we've developed, to look at some other effects. I'd like to vary the stickiness on the membrane. That is the Hamaka constant A. I'm going to vary the equalization flow field to see how it moves down and reduces channeling. And I want to adjust the tortuosity of the flow also, and I'll show you how to do that. By adjusting tortuosity, some of you may remember your early work on distillation when you were at university. That is the stages, number of stages we need to improve. Membranes have few stages. They are not very good in stages compared to chromatography. However, they are much faster and much faster, right? So here is a case of the commercial membrane, uneven flow. This work was done by Joel Plowski and Corey Woodcock. We're taking 301 small one diameter particles with 152 micron diameter green particles. And what you see is, as they go in, you can see they all go down. Clearly the selectivity is not good. And you can see some of the green ones get stuck because they're bigger and they don't go through, and the whole system is poorly designed. And so the question was, can we confirm that that result in the computer is actually agrees with experiment? So we took real particles, we passed them through a membrane. Here they are red dots on the left. And what we were able to do is to use a technique called energy dispersion X-ray spectroscopy, and gives you, it can distinguish between the X-ray that hits a particle of silica versus the membrane, which is polymer. And that is the red particles here. And so we can plot that red particles directly from EDS, and we can compare it to the computer behavior, and what we see is qualitative agreement. And so, in fact, this method is now being used by a membrane company because they're very excited about this finding. I'd like to just show you again, these are the same two particles, 1 and 2 micron, red and green. But what we've done is we've changed the teardrop structure by adding a Hamaka constant 3 orders of magnitude higher. So this is a much more sticky membrane on the right. And watch the particles go through. And what happens is you notice the particles get stuck in the sticky one and not much gets stuck in the smaller, in the left one. And so we can actually add and decide how we want to change particles or look at particle sticking, and we can actually measure them and change the performance. The next thing is we want to take the tortuosity by changing the orientation of these teardrops. And when we do that, we make more of a channel. The tortuosity or the traveling distance is larger at the bottom figure, and so we start to get some separation. I want to end off by conclusions. Membrane filtration of liquids with polymer membranes. It's a fast-growing, mature industry. It's over $16 billion industry. The desalting drinking water industry is big time today, with water getting more polluted. Purified foods use it, biologicals, chemicals, petroleum products, and purifying waste streams. In the biotech area, I was very lucky at the very beginning to be a consultant for Eli Lilly when they were making the first biotech product, insulin, recombinant insulin, which today is standard. We don't use pigs anymore to get insulin. And so major challenges still exist. I've tried to tell you what they are. And I think if we can use directed evolution, we can use this process to help us. We've already done several steps, and we've got many other steps to go. This is the first presentation of this process. I gave the same story to ICOM in England and to AICHE a month ago. The goal is to get structure by design and know what you're doing and not make random structures. And I've already mentioned this. And if you want to read more about it, you can read in our Angabanga Chemi paper. What are we going to do in the future? Well, here is a technique that enables us to walk through a membrane, inside a membrane, by using this focus ion beam technique. What we want to do is make it three-dimensional. Right now, I've shown you only two-dimensional study. We want to go to a three-dimensional study. And we've already made some progress. We'll be soon publishing a paper and theory on this work. I have not mentioned it here today, but we will come up with it. Finally, my acknowledgements. I'd like to acknowledge my wife, Marlene Belford, for all her help. She's a member of the National Academy of Sciences, and I believe we're the only couple that's a husband and wife in engineering and in sciences. My ex and present PhD students, my postdocs, collaborators, creative contributions are greater than 100 published, 200 papers on synthetic membranes. I would also like to thank my Indian students and who have been wonderful in my group over the many years. I've had many great Indian students who, and so I need to thank you for sending your students to me and for me helping them start a career. Right now, I have an Indian student, and we had several a few years ago, and they've all done very well, and some of them have gone back to India. Hanuman Malubotla is back in India, and he's a very smart young man. He's not so young anymore, I think. Funding. Office of DOE gave me money. The NSF has given me money, and many companies have funded me in the US, Japan, France, Denmark over the past 40 years. Finally, I'd like to thank Professor V.V. Basava Rao, president of IICHE, for inviting me, and Mr. and Dr. Sathuraman for recommending my name. I end off by two slides. This is a book you can get. It just came out last year, A Research Agenda for Transforming Separation Science. It's a fabulous book. There are about 12 authors, of which I am one. And this book basically reviews where we are, where we should go in separation science, not only in scale up, but also in scale down for analytical uses. And then finally, let me leave you. I know you people in India are very deep and think about philosophical ideas. And I would like to mention John Maynard Keynes, this economist, who said the difficulty lies not in new ideas, but in escaping the old ones. Thank you for your time, and I hope this was of some interest to you, and I appreciate you listening to me. I'm sorry about the initial problems we had.
Yeah, thank you, Professor. Thank you for an insightful lecture into membranes. Now, I would like to request our former president of IICHE, Sri Bhaskar Reddy Garu, to propose vote of thanks for this session. Over to you, Bhaskar Reddy Garu.
Thank you, Professor. This is Bhaskar Reddy, past president. Your student Ananta Krishnan, I met him last few days. Sethuraman's son. Myself and Sethuraman, we are business partners for 40 years. So on behalf of Indian Institute of Chemical Engineers, on behalf of Dr. Baswarao, President, and council members, I propose vote of thanks. Thanks, Professor George Belford, for wonderful lecture on membranes and latest developments. Many, many thanks for you are helping the students, Indian students. It's really wonderful. Thanks for helping the country, our country also. Thanks a lot for your lecture at our valedictory function. Thank you very much. Thanks, sir. So valedictory function. So all co-chemical engineers online. Valedictory function will be started in about 10 minutes. Kindly be waiting for 10 more minutes. Thank you very much. Principal OUC.
Hello, Professor Belfort, kindly stay back. You'll have to join the valedictory function little later.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Professor Belfort?
Yes.
Yeah, please stay back. You'll have to join the valedictory function.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
I'm not getting any audio.
Hello.
Hello. Hello.
Now,
Hello. Hello.
Jain sir, is there any issue?
Hello.
You please, we are audible, sir.
Okay.
Please mute yourself, sir. Otherwise, noise is coming our end. Good evening to all the delegates, today's chief guest, participants on CHEMCON 2020. So now we almost reached to our end of the program. After these wonderful plenary lectures, we'll be starting our valedictory session. So I'd like to invite today's guests, chief guests, and other dignitaries on the speaker. First, I'd like to invite President 2020, President Professor V.V. Basavarao ji, President-elect Professor M.K. Jha ji,
Honorary Secretary, myself, Professor S. Venkateswara, Patron, CHEMCON 2020, Dr. K. Sainath, Managing Director, Clear Engineering Private Limited, Guest of Honors, CHEMCON 2020, in the valedictory session, Sri Raj Nair, Chairman, Ablon Consulting Limited, also guest of honor in this session in CHEMCON 2020, Professor Parameshwar De, former President and member of the organizing committee, CHEMCON 2020, and Joint Organizing Secretary Dr. Sanjay Bharadwaj in CHEMCON 2020. I welcome you all in this valedictory program. Now I am requesting Professor V.V. Basavarao to preside this valedictory program. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
So good evening to all of you. Respected Professor Belfort, RPI USA, Chief Guest of today's valedictory function. Respected Sri Rajesh Nair, Chairman, Avalon Consulting Limited, Guest of Honor. Respected Dr. K. Sainath Garu, Managing Director, Clear Engineers Limited, Guest of Honor to the valedictory function. Respected Professor P. Day, Past President, IICHE, Guest of Honor, Professor S. Venkateswar, Patron of the CHEMCON Organizing Committee, Dr. Sanjay Bharadwaj, Chairman, Hyderabad Regional Center, IICHE, and Organizing Secretary, CHEMCON 2020, Professor M.K. Jha, newly elected President for the next year, IICHE, and Dr. Avijit Ghosh, Honorary Secretary, IICHE, Calcutta. Mr. S. Ailaya, Joint Organizing Secretary, CHEMCON 2020, and other office bearers of IICHE and also Hyderabad Regional Center, esteemed council members, past president, distinguished members of the chemical engineering fraternity, esteemed colleagues, and dear students, ladies and gentlemen. At the outset, I am very happy and glad to welcome you all to the valedictory program of 73rd annual session of Indian Institute of Chemical Engineers, CHEMCON, organized jointly by IICH headquarters and Hyderabad Regional Center. In last 3 days, the CHEMCON has been conducted and organized different events on a digital platform for the first time, since you all know the physical mode is not possible due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which is still continuing. Although it is organized on a virtual platform, I am happy to announce that CHEMCON 2020 has successfully achieved all the standards as it is physically possible and as also enlightened as the previous years with many academic and industry luminaries shared their thoughts and understandings and insights. So I should compliment the Hyderabad Regional Center for joining the hands with the headquarters under these difficult situations. A few words about IICHE may be relevant here to introduce our beloved organization to Professor Georges Belfort, who has joined us as a chief guest at the early morning at USA. Sir, the institute is recognized as the premier body of chemical engineers in India, committed to the advancement of chemical engineering education and profession in general. The institute was started in 1947. Since then, the institute has been constantly molding and remolding itself and resetting its priorities to meet the changing demands of the economy, market, and the society at large across the globe. In the process, the institute has emerged to be a force to reckon with, having over 30,000 members on its roll, 42 regional centers, and 168 student chapters across India. Over the years, IICH has become a responsible partner in nation building and contributing towards sustainable development of the society, and with the disseminating of knowledge and enhancement of the skill in chemical engineering and its allied fields. Simultaneously, the institute has been promoting a platform for communication and dialogues among the chemical engineering professionals, recognizing young talents by conferring awards and offering research grants, as well as honoring acclaimed personalities in the academic and industry arenas. IICH has also been playing the role of an advisory body for policy matters in the field of environmental and industrial safety. Indeed, at IICH, we realized that effective education, professional empowerment, and skill enhancement should be our most valuable means to minimize the adversities and ensure sustainable development of the communities of the chemical engineering. CHEMCON is not only the signatory event of the IICH, it has emerged as a key event for the chemical engineering fraternity across the globe. The purpose of organizing the conference is to bring together academicians, research scholars, and students from different institutions to exchange significant thoughts and novel ideas, and also to highlight opportunities and challenges facing by the chemical engineering and its allied areas. The ultimate goal is to get insight into future trends and share knowledge on technology options and strategies. The outcome of the CHEMCON will help the institute and also participants to plan their professional calendar for next 1 year. Therefore, the CHEMCON is being organized every year as an annual event with this objective. In this CHEMCON, inauguration function graced by Padma Shri K. Vijayaraghavan, Principal Scientific Advisor to Government of India, as chief guest. So as previous years, so this year's also on virtual mode, 3 memorial lectures: Dr. H.R. Rai Memorial Lecture, N.R. Kamath Memorial Lecture, and C.K. Murthy Memorial Lecture. These 3 lectures were organized and they were delivered by very eminent personalities from USA and India. Also, Dhirubhai Ambani Commemoration Day oration lecture was given by Dr. Renu Swarup, who is also from Government of India, Principal Secretary to the Biotechnology. 2 sessions for panel discussions were organized very successfully, and the recent issues have been discussed, and the deliberations went on. They are going to submit a report for the further necessary action which can be taken in those areas. Very eminent personalities participated in the deliberations in panel discussions. So around 220 technical papers in various fields were presented. And just before this valedictory function, Professor Belfort delivered plenary lectures and it is very much informative, and we all are enlightened because of the Professor Belfort lecture. Further, Hyderabad Regional Center extended its fullest support in organizing the CHEMCON. All executive members under the guidance of Dr. Sanjay Bharadwaj worked very hard and made this dream reality. I am very happy and feel proud to be a member of Hyderabad Regional Center, Indian Institute of Chemical Engineers, because I got supports from all the corners, from my elders to the juniors. My sincere appreciation to members of HRC team and also the University College of Technology principal for giving the all infrastructure to conduct this CHEMCON on virtual mode. This year, coming to the IICH activities, this year under uncertainties and difficulties due to the prevailing pandemic across the country, we could able to conduct considerable activities for student members of IICH. We arranged the industry internships in the companies, which are some of the life organizational institutes helped for this particular cause. So around 2,300 students online trained in different areas, which are very thrust and also the important to the young budding chemical engineers. So providing a small financial support to the students under the guidance of IICHC experts for innovative research projects in thrust areas. So that also we have done this year. Offering academic support to weak students with the supplementary lecture notes prepared by IICH experts. Initiating the coaching for the graduate aptitude test in engineering, so which is the entrance exam for the PG in engineering area, particularly in chemical engineering area. So we have initiated the coaching classes, and also we included coaching for the other competitive exams at a very low discounted fee. And for the corporate life members of IICH, skill development programs and certificate courses with AICT approval by utilizing the services of IICH members who are authorities in their own fields have been planned. Certificate course in industry safety and Six Sigma and quality management are also scheduled. Development of industrial polyclinics to offer industrial consultancy services at different regional centers have been initiated. Preparation of lecture materials in various courses related to the chemical engineering program in the form of online notes, videos, PowerPoint presentations are started preparing. Those were uploaded in the website of IICH. Therefore, the students can view that and get enlightened in the own subjects with the subject contents. Granting the small funds to publish the data books, lab manuals, monographs with IICH affiliation are also initiated, and whoever are maybe planning for the patenting work, for them the maximum possible funding is also initiated. All said and done, the immediate challenge which we should address in financial sustainment of the IICH. This year, we could generate the revenue around rupees 25 lakhs through online training programs. Hope this can become annual revenue for IICH every year if online programs are continued. So this is one of my dream. So online programs should not be stopped. I request the president who is taking the charges from me should continue this. So I am confident that the journey will continue. I am grateful to the Honorary Secretary, Dr. Avijit Ghosh, who has done commendable work at headquarters, and my other colleagues, office bearers, vice presidents, treasurer, joint secretary, control of the examinations in IICH Council. They supported me for their outright cooperation and collaboration during this difficult year. I must be thankful to them. Many senior members of the institute helped with their valuable suggestions and guidance. I am grateful to all of them. My sincere appreciations also goes to the staff of the IICH headquarters for their continuous support in functioning of the institute. Distinguished guests and participants, respected seniors, esteemed colleagues, and beloved students. So we are going to the new year within a couple of days. 2020 ends, 2021. Let us welcome the 2021 with the great hopes. That means whatever pandemic is there, that may disappear in 2021. So 2021 may bring fortunes to the not only the individual families, also the IICH. I thank you all again for joining us this evening on this very special occasion of the valedictory function. Let us all pledge to work together in creating a sustainable ecology and also sustenance of our beloved institution IICH in coming generations. I thank one and all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your valuable thoughts, speech, and motivation on and address this valedictory session. So now I am requesting Professor S. Venkateswara sir for giving a welcome address.
Hello, hello. Hello, hello.
Hello, you are audible.
Good evening, all of you.
So you're audible, sir, please.
Good evening, all of you.
Good evening, sir.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead, sir. You're audible, sir.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
All right, right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. And I welcome you all for this valedictory function of IICHE and also jointly with HRC Hyderabad Regional Center. And it is my great privilege to give the report of the CHEMCON 2020. And also, we are very thankful to IICHE as they have given this giant session to Hyderabad Regional Center. All the members are very happy and agreed to it and enjoyed it. And coming into the giant sessions, we have conducted in 1969, 1985, 2002, and 2020. This is the fourth one. In the gap of 16, 17, 18 years. It is coming sequential on its own way. I would like to present the CHEMCON report. CHEMCON is an annual flagship event of Indian Institute of Chemical Engineers, IICHE. During CHEMCON 2020, success stories, research findings, and learnings were shared to handle present challenges to chemical sector and to encourage budding chemical engineers. Discussions were on all important themes of chemical engineering like petrochemicals, polymers, fertilizers, pharmaceuticals, chemicals, textile, food processing, nanotechnology by experienced professors and students. In addition to two very useful panel discussions were conducted on the topics of Atmanirbhar Bharat and Vocal for Local. I must thank our silver sponsor, Bhagirathi Chemical and Industries Limited, as our industry associates for supporting CHEMCON 2020. Efforts of team CHEMCON 2020 led by President IICHE, Professor V.V. Basavarao, require wholehearted appreciation and commendation. I think clap to him for successful conduct of the CHEMCON. I require wholehearted appreciation and commendation. Complete report on CHEMCON 2020 shall be presented by organizing secretary, Dr. Sanjay Bharadwaj. But he is not here at present, but probably that may be kept in.
No, I'm here, sir.
Online, kept in website.
No, I'm here, sir. I'm presenting.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
This CHEMCON had widely acclaimed chief guest Professor K. Vijay Raghavan, guest of honor for both inaugural valedictory sessions. Dhirubhai Ambani commemoration orator, Dr. Renu Swaroop, memorial lecture speakers, and other keynote speakers. Overall, CHEMCON 2020 was an outstanding event, first time in digital format, organized at a notice of approximately 1 month. You have to note it. 1 month we have done this. Hyderabad Center, ISCHE has done this success. You succeeded in conducting this CHEMCON 2020. I thank the organizers for giving me a chance to give a small report on this CHEMCON 2020. Thank you.
So I request now the response regarding the conduct of CHEMCON and also the comments, if you have anything from the delegates. Some of you may speak by unmuting yourself. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
You are audible.
So please respond regarding the organization of the CHEMCON online mode, because as Professor S. Venkateswar rightly said that this is the first time which we have organized. Maybe some technical problems would have occurred during the inaugural function. Later on, those problems have been solved, and afterwards, all the sessions went on very well. So if any comments from the audience or the delegates, so please, appreciations or any comments, welcome. Yeah, please respond, maybe 1 or 2.
Yes.
Hello.
Good evening, everybody. This is really a moment of joy, proud, and fulfilling the desire of all the delegates, all the members of ICT, that we should break chain of 020. And the only option is to organize this virtually. There is no first-hand experience so far with the IICHE, even not this other organizations also, to organize this in a virtual mode to the strength. Really, I appreciate the energy, the efforts of HRC Hyderabad Regional Center executives. All are my very good friends, taken care of all of us very well. And due to their affection and love, I come all the way driving from Bombay to this place. And they fulfill what is my expectation out of this. So you again proved number 1. So, okay, have a great cheers and clapping for applause for all the volunteers of HRC. Really, without your efforts, people are not even ready to come out from their house. At 8 o'clock, my dear Rangarao coming to us with his tea breakfast and everything. They had taken care to that extent. Our guests, those who are attending physically, should be taken care. So I salute Rangarao to you for your efforts, your energy, your love for ISCHE and ISCHE members. Really, it's you have raised the bar to such a height that it in such a corona situation, still you proved that if you desire, if you can dream it, you can do it. And within the short span of a month, it has been organized so well. So again, to the volunteers, to the organizers, to my senior Venkateshwar, Bhaskar, Seturaman, they all guided well. So you should feel proud of. And Mahendra, okay, Reddy, who, okay, I'm coming to him at the last. So, because eating is giving you the full satisfaction. So he has provided us the full satisfaction to us. Really, they have elevated and done very well job. So for all of them, from all us, those who are attending, those attending virtually, please clap for them once for their efforts and their energy, their vision and performance. Thank you very much.
Next, anyone?
President, there are many responses from the chat box from the audience.
Happy evening to you all. This is Bhaskar Reddy, past president, 2011. It's a wonderful opportunity to conduct CHEMCON in 2020 virtually. And we can see the attendance is, I have attended at least 10 CHEMCONs, and I have seen AGM having highest attendance virtually and physically together in about 10 CHEMCONs which I have seen. And similarly, Valedictory also had very good attendance over here. And I am happy the wonderful organizers, local organizers, and from head office, Abhishek and their team, they have done wonderful job in conducting this CHEMCON 20 to the highest satisfaction, to the soulful and heartful happiness of the delegates. I am very happy. Our council members, Saxena has given comments and he is very happy with the arrangements. In all aspects, that's what he said. I suppose it started from 8 o'clock, ended in the night around 9:30, 10. He means in all aspects, he is very happy. So all the delegates are very happy and we wish we could have done physically, but unhappiness is because of the pandemic. Because in 2002, what we have done in one of the best hotels as on that time, Viceroy, it was a really wonderful program. That's what all the delegates who came said, na bhuto na bhavishyat. So it happened, and we would have done that also this year. But anyway, virtually also we could do it. I wish all the delegates all over the country are happy with our performance and under the guidance of the President Baswarao. I congratulate the incoming President, Mr. Jha, and the Secretary has done wonderful activities. And yesterday's his statement and his presentation was really wonderful, cleaning up the past many years of problems. That's really very great. I wish he will continue next year also, and wish the headquarters and All India Institute of Chemical Engineers will contribute more and more and make our fraternity grow better for the benefit of the chemical engineers and at the last to the nation also. That will be helpful. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, please come down.
Hello.
Yeah, yes, please.
Baswaraoji, this is
Professor Balasubramaniam. Yeah, please speak.
Professor V.K. Srivastava here.
Yeah,
from
please,
Bombay.
sir. V.K. Saxena, sir.
I think I must congratulate the whole team, the president and the secretary particularly, and certainly the whole team. But I still feel one thing, that why this could have not have been done at Bhubaneswar. That question will always remain in my mind. So let us first cheer up for the Hyderabad Middle Center, who took the courage, and all the time Hyderabad Middle Center has stood in difficult time. So let us cheer up and difficult time. So we must give a big hand to Hyderabad Middle Center. So I must congratulate both my colleague Rangarao and my old colleague, I mean to say my earlier past president, Bhaskar Reddy, Seturaman, and all the whole team who is there, present physically there. I really feel it that I could not make it to come physically there, but I missed the chance. But I had tried my best to see every glimpse of the functions, starting from the inaugural and including the valedictory. And today's lecture was fantastic. I think probably one of the best lectures which you could listen during CHEMCON. So I must congratulate and thanks to the whosoever has selected Professor George, for that purpose. I think it is really wonderful. I think we all enjoyed it, and I can see the hospitality which Dr. Bhaskar Reddy said. Yes, we remember very well in Viceroy Hotel, and we had all the memories of it. And really, I has written also that we are missing the hospitality. Forget about pandemic, will keep on coming and going, but that will remain in the memory of most of us. So cheer up and thank you very much, the Hyderabad Regional Center, the local organizing team. I think I must tell, and thank you very much.
Seva Chavan sahab,
Yes,
one thing
sir.
we are missing your Sher Shahari in the evening.
If you can make it online, probably I may join.
Namaste, sir.
Namaste ji, namaste.
Double Saxena here. Thank you, sir. So it is really nice, and yes, we are missing you and Bhaskar Reddy sahab, but everyone. Okay, let me just, already I spoke yesterday, but I think this show, it started with our Basavarao sir and Avijit taking the first step, and Dr. G.D. Yadav sir for really saying that yes, you can go ahead. Why not to conduct a CHEMCON like this? So all the support of all our past presidents, everyone that initiated that, yes, it can be conducted and this should be taken ahead. And then today we are at the end of this session and enjoying each and everything. And I think Basavarao sir was, I told him yesterday that people are saying once more to be the president. But I think he says, let the ball be rolling. Why not? And so we welcome Jha Saab, basically, who has given us the new, let us hope things are going to go ahead. And yes, our unanimous secretary, Dr. Avijit Ghosh, for his tremendous effort throughout the year. I think he is not sleeping and not letting anybody of us sleep. I think around 2,500 students, not just coming in his dream, but in my dream, not allowing me to sleep also. So that was his total efforts. And yes, over here, apart from our council members, I think Shyam Sundar Saab, our ex-council member, and for Osmania University, total help, and he has provided, and daily, I think he's with us with all his guidance. And yes, sir, I think Raja Mahendra Reddy Saab, he's, I think, the best example for crisis management we have seen with sir and his guidance. I think the first half, he is alumni at Osmania University College of Technology. He is right now the president of, General Secretary at the Alumni Association. He is the president of this club. We are at MLA Recreation Center Club. So we sometimes feel, when we heard the name, we felt like, oh, we are going to be MLAs now. I think so. So, and when he entered, we thought he is actually MLA. So, but he has a very good popularity and love for us, and I think very MLAs to all of us. Being from industrial background, I think he owns a pesticide company into formulations. And yeah, technical person, great to be spend time with you, sir. It was really an honor to spend time with you. We are lucky actually to have you. And the crisis management what mentioned, I think yesterday, I think in 5 minutes he arranged all the things. I think just one call. Yeah, and just one call, and we are here past 2.5 days because of the network issue we got stuck. So immediately arranged and very beautiful facility. Like we have 2-3 seminar halls. The total floor belongs to us, it seems. And recreation is total center belongs to us, it seems. Kitchen. And there is a TT table. There is a snooker billiard tables also. So whenever people feel that we need to refresh, they go and play something. So very, very thanks to you, sir. And I think we had enjoyed all our day. So thanks to College of Technology, Shyam Sundar Saab, Raj Mahendra Reddy Saab, and yes, Bhaskar Saab, and yes, Basaura sir. I think you may say that I am not the president now, but I don't think anybody is going to leave you anyhow. So, heart nahi physically bhi you will be there. You don't worry. Nobody will leave you, sir, because under this pandemic, coming with a profit in an organization of IICHE, it is not a joke. Yes, it is a serious efforts and recognized by all. So thanks a lot. I'm really MRC, and I'm also really feeling proud that I'm able to make here and give a good contribution with Dr. TL Prasad also with us along here. So thanks a lot. We enjoyed this and a totally memorable session. Yes, I'm missing all the group, the youngsters group, the our senior group, Raja Simban, Karthikeyan Saab, everyone. Dr. Bala, congratulations. So you are not here, but still I think you have a good news. So party is due. And thanks to everyone. VK Srivastava ji, all thanks a lot.
So thank you, Dawal ji. Actually, Dawal and Praveen Saxena are special to IICHE. Not only IICHE, but College of Technology, particularly HRC, because they traveled a long distance of 1,000 kilometers and attended this by road. So I must be thankful to them, and also thanks to them by sponsoring. That's a regular sponsor to all the events of the CHEMCON. Yeah, now I request, because will let us listen the chief guest. Now I request the chief guest, Professor Georges Belfort, RPI, yes, no, Vishal. So I request as a chief guest, you please Vishal sir, because you were there early morning in your place, and we must be thankful to you for gracing the occasion, wishing the IICHE and particularly Hyderabad Regional Center, as Sethuraman sir rightly told that, and you know everything of Hyderabad Regional Center and IICHE, and we require your constant support, and also Sethuraman sir given your reference. So we should be thankful to the Sethuraman sir also. Now I request you to address as a chief guest and bless us, because you are very old. Yeah, please bless us, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay, I just wanted to thank everybody. This is a very impressive group. What really impresses me is the warmth of everybody for each other, and that working together will make success rather than not doing that. I do want to thank Mr. Sathuraman, both for sending his son to work in my lab and also for inviting me today. This is a very impressive group, and I wish you luck. And keeping this team together is fantastic. And I hope to participate in the future in presence in my body. I hope to fly to India and not sit on an internet and not meet you. I want to meet you people. I remember when I was last there in 2002 in Hyderabad, we had a fantastic time. And also, I was treated very well in Mumbai. And I must say, from 1947, I worked out, you're 73 years old, your Institute of, Indian Institute of Chemical Engineering. And this is, you can be very proud of your efforts and everything you've done. So thank you again, and thank you for inviting me. I just hope the talk wasn't too specific so that most people didn't really follow. I hope that they could follow some of it. But my feeling is that keep it up, and thank you for sending your wonderful students to my group. I already got in the chat room, one of the students has told me she's applied to RPI to work in my group. So I hope we can continue this tradition. Thank you very much for everything, and congratulations on a wonderful meeting.
Thanks.
So, yes, yeah, now, so now I request Dr. K. Sainath Garu, who is also known to the College of Technology and particularly Hyderabad Regional Center, and also alumni of College of Technology, who supports the college and also the events which will be conducted in the College of Technology as well as in Hyderabad Regional Center of IICHE. And I request Dr. Sainath sir to speak a few words during this valedictory function.
Thank you, Basavaraj Garu. Hope you are able to listen to me. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, audible, sir.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So, first of all, congratulations to the entire CHEMCON team daring to hold the conference and successfully holding it in these difficult times, actually. And thankful to Professor Basavarao and Professor Venkateswar for making me part of this conference and giving me an opportunity to listen Professor Belfort. Excellent research paper, actually. And now listening to me will be like seeing a black and white movie after seeing a 3D science fiction, because the exotic research presentation given by the Belfort. See, basically about me, just 2 minutes, that I'm into the air pollution control systems, engaged particularly in the separation of the particulates. And when Belfort was talking about filtration and membrane filters, I was feeling happy that somewhere some distant relationship is there, actually. We are into air pollution control, into cement, power, and sugar. Wherever there is a dust, separation is required, we are there. And apart from the dust separation, we are also involved in gaseous pollutants treatments like SOx, NOx, and different these things, actually. Now, coming back to this CHEMCON conference and two main topics, which plenary sessions which they had about Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is the role of engineers towards indigenization, and vocal for local, actually. See, running this company for last 25 years, actually. This role of engineers towards Indianization and vocal for local. This, I'm part and parcel of this process which is going on in India for last few years, actually. Because in India, the peculiar situation is we have, like Dr. Sonde expressed in his lecture the other day, that we have isolated excellent centers in India in science and technology, like ISRO, BARC, this thing, where we have excelled to the international standards and we have our own indigenous technology to the boast of, actually. But unfortunately, the same cannot be said about most of the other fields where we are involved, because the basic air pollution, which is a simple equipments, what we use is the back filters and electrostatic precipitators and scrubbers and so on, actually. Particularly the back filters. All the process back filters operating at higher temperatures, above 180 degrees, 200 degrees centigrade. The total filter cloth is still imported. We are dependent on the foreign companies to make the cloth here. And similarly, the technology is involved in filtration and DSOX and DNOx, this thing also. Indianization is still a process going on, because in 1984, when the Air Act came and air pollution has become a major topic in this thing, none of the Indian companies were there which were actually had experience in the air pollution control systems as such, because we had few companies with foreign collaborations and directly some foreign companies like FLACT and Swedish companies and this thing. So we all worked with foreign collaborations, different companies, different this thing. And 3 years back, when the government of India brought out the DSOX and DNOx emission standards and asked all other industries to compile with the new norms, when the NTPC started floating tenders for the DSOX systems and DNOx systems, it's unfortunate to see none of the Indian companies are qualified for that tender, actually. Indian companies working with indigenous technology, yes. 1 or 2 companies with foreign collaborations have been successfully commissioned. And here I'm not complaining about neither the NTPC nor the companies as such, actually. I just want to point out the state of the Indianization and what more we have to do and how much we have to do to really to absorb the technology and Indianize it. Because it is very, very important to develop the technology indigenously to cater to the local industries as such. Because working in the industry, I'll just tell you one example that in 2007, the distilleries which were manufacturing ethanol, they generate a lot of liquid effluents, and they were treating it as a liquid effluent. But the government of India came out with this thing that they cannot be disposed as a liquid effluent because of the ground pollution and the associated problems related to it. And since it is mostly an agricultural waste, it got some calorific value and it has to be incinerated, actually. So 2007, the first distilleries came in Tamil Nadu. And I was lucky to have one of the orders to give a back filter, actually. Now, first time doing that back filter, and the first time the distillery coming in India, I mean, for incineration, the process parameters which were defined this thing. And once we have done a back filter and commission, and by the time 2007, when I was doing that back filter, I'm already experienced 20 years in the back filter field, actually. And I was surprised to note that within 8 to 10 hours, we noticed that this back filter is not going to work. The basic reason is the process parameters, the chemical nature of the dust coming out, and the chemical nature of the gases coming out of the incinerator are not properly understood, not properly analyzed. Actually. Now, it looks a very primitive problem, but that is the problem. And when we have gone back, luckily, the customer has not thrown us out, because normally the tendency will be your back filter is not working, we'll go to some other place. But we were able to convince customer, and customer also came forward, and we jointly studied the process parameters, because since the boiler is running, we were able to collect the samples and do it. Actually, the variations, what we have seen, the earlier defined one and the actual parameters, what we are looking at. The sulfur dew point, they thought it is 120 degrees centigrade. It is actually 180 degrees centigrade. The dust to bulk density, they thought it is 0.65, but it is actually 0.15. It's like a talcum powder. 26% moisture content and 30% potassium, which is highly hygroscopic in nature. So what all the difficult parameters should be there for a filter bag, they are there in that process actually. So we were made to go back to the drawing board and study the parameters carefully and redesign the back filter, change the MOC of the back filter, choose a different filter cloth which can withstand these abrasive, corrosive conditions actually, and able to successfully recommission the back filter. Now today around 46 such systems are in operation in India and abroad supplied by us. So this Indianization of technology, it is not just a design. It requires very hard work in actually working with the industry, particularly the new industry which is there. New processes are coming like cement plants. I'm doing back filters for the cement plants for last 30 years. Now, the process requirements are changing because previously, mostly it is the coal which was burned in the kiln, and the gas composition and the dust composition, what we are getting is pretty standard and well defined. But with the new environmental awareness, one of the things is happening is the alternate fuels being used in the cement industry to reduce the coal consumption and also to utilize the waste generated in the pharma, municipal waste, whatever is burnable actually, because cement kiln operates at 1800 degrees centigrade. So the most of the things can be incinerated in the cement kiln actually. But once we started using alternate fuels, the entire gas composition started changing actually. Now, unless we have the first on-hand experience or on-hand study that what is the different characteristics which the alternate fuels are throwing, we will not be able to design a proper system as such actually. So the process of Indianization, because why I am saying is the basic science research, the academic institutes and the research institutes, the industry and the government actually. The four segments of different this thing, unless they work with a similar goal, it is going to remain as more as a wishful thinking and desire rather than a practical this thing. Because why I say all the four organs should be equally important is whenever we are trying to develop a system, a product, definitely it is going to come out with some deficiencies. Because today, whatever the technology is developed in Europe or America or in any developed country, right from day one, they are not at that stage. That's one. Second is, in this commercial atmosphere, it will be our wishful thinking that those technologies will be available for us just by paying some money. Yes, they may sell the product or they may give a one-off solution, but the technology has to be understood by us and again developed from the scratch as such. So unless that combined effort is put from these 3-4 organs which are involved in this thing, that kind of indigenization is not possible actually. Because today we are coming out with, we are in a very explosive situation where the handling of the waste generated in different segments, whether it is a municipal waste, whether it is a agricultural waste, whether it is a industrial waste, unless we find the ways and means and technologies to handle these wastes, actually, we are going to get submerged in it. Because we are already talking about municipal waste utilization. Almost out of 500 to 700 plants which are supposed to come by this time, I think we hardly have 100 or 80 actually. And most of these plants, 90% are functioning with, are supplied by the Chinese suppliers actually. Similarly, the agri waste, the persistent, the Delhi pollution problem, what we are seeing because of the burning of the agri waste in the fields, can be augmented only by finding a right way of disposal or utilization of this thing. And recently, the government of India has come out with a sustainable alternative to affordable transportation, where they want to manufacture around 15 million tons of CNB, I mean compressed biogas from these different resources, whether it is a municipal waste or agri waste or a forest waste or an industrial waste. Ways and means of producing the compressed biogas is coming out in a big way. And by 2023, as per Government of India, we are supposed to install around 5,000 plants involving 2 trillion rupees. And today, in 2020, we have around 30 or 40 plants which are at various stages. Few are commissioned and this thing. And they have also come out with an, a feasible alternative, like whatever compressed biogas is generated, the oil companies are prepared to market it. It is with an assured market network. The government has come out with a plan to set up these plants. Now, once we are talking of biogas production and this thing, the separation technologies involved in it, handling of the high pressure biogas, the transportation facilities, the piping and all these things, unless we understand from the conceptual stage and master them, this kind of massive construction and massive this thing is not possible with the existing industrial network what we have. So with the 25-30 years industrial background, what I appeal to the academicians and research institutes, which are part and parcel of the Indian Institute of Chemical Engineers actually, and industrial this thing, we should evolve a mechanism of active collaboration to develop these technologies at a cost. Because the development of a product and a technology involves the various stages, and there are bound to be shortfalls which have to be overcome with experience, master it, and make it an acceptable product. This is a cycle by itself. So unless we have that kind of patience, more than the money, it is a patience, because most of us and most of the industrial this thing, they'll be looking for ready-made solutions. They want guarantees. Whenever I go to this thing, they don't ask me what technology I'm using. They'll only ask me what guarantees I'm giving. Because back filters with 1 million gas volume, I'm supposed to give a pressure drop guarantee of 120 mm water column, 10 mg emission level, and 3 to 5 years back life. They're not interested in what technology I'm using or what this thing is using. But it is a technology which is actually guaranteeing these parameters. Actually. So with these few words, actually, I once again congratulate the organizers for the successful conference, and once again thank you for making me part of it and giving me a chance to listen to Professor Belfort, and thank you all. Thank you, sir.
Having practical as well as research knowledge, because he is a doctorate from IIT Delhi. So the overall review of the chemical engineering and its allied areas are very useful, sir. Thank you, sir. Now I request Sanjay Bharadwaj. Dr. Sanjay Bharadwaj, are you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, I am here, sir.
To introduce Mr. Raj Nair, Chairman, Avalon Consultants, who is gracing the occasion as guest of honor. Dr. Sanjay, please introduce you.
Yes, sir. Good evening, seniors, delegates, esteemed ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Raj Nair, who is chairman of Avalon Consulting, JUM 8 Solutions, AGR Knowledge Services, to all of you. Mr. Raj Nair is a strategy consultant, entrepreneur, investor, and he's very interested in the future of various things. He is the chairman of Avalon Consulting, strategy analytics, business transformation, which does a lot of work in the chemical sector, besides energy, e-mobility, consumer, and other sectors. JUM 8 Solutions, AI-based technology startup for customer care, reputation management, etc., and AGR Knowledge Services, global B2B MR and business services are the two companies that he chairs. He was also co-founder of and chairman of Ugam Solutions, a marketing analytics company which he sold to a large MNC in 2019. It is ranked amongst top 5 specialist analytics companies in the world by Forrester. His previous professional roles include merchant banking in Greenlace Bank and in consumer durable marketing. He graduated in engineering from IIT Bombay, and he did masters in business management from IIM Ahmedabad. He was awarded the Distinguished Alumnus Award and Distinguished Service Award by IIT Bombay. He publishes an annual paper around New Year about what to expect in the course of the year on various fronts, including the socio-political front and their impact on global economics. This year's annual note in January was titled The Tipping Point, in anticipation of huge changes in 2020, largely as a consequence of an unexpected pandemic, even while WHO was still not clear whether it would be one. He is a speaker at several Indian and global events and at numerous webinars. In April and May, he spoke at a dozen webinars on the impact on various sectors and when they're likely to recover. He had correctly called out a global financial crisis of 2008-9 in much earlier in 2007 and predicted the oil price crash in 2008 when the price was $140 per barrel. Goldman Sachs had predicted $200. His company, Avalon Consulting, is assisting the government of the PLI scheme for chemical sector. He is mentor of many startups involved in technology and design. He is the vice chairman of Pan IIT Alumni India Association, a member of the board of TIE Mumbai, and on the managing committee of IMC Chamber of Commerce and Industry and its past president. He's on the board of trustees of the Economic Research and Training Foundation. He's on the committee of Bombay Stock Exchange Foundation, which incubates and funds startups. He has been on the jury of annual competition for startups held by the Maharashtra Innovation Society, Government of Maharashtra. I'm pleased to invite now Mr. Raj Nair, and who I'll tell you especially, I requested Mr. Raj Nair, and he was enthusiastic to share because he's a visionary. That's what I have heard his talks on YouTube. I think we all will get benefited by his views and perspective and vision. Thank you so much, Mr. Raj Nair, for accepting the invite.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And Sanjay, thank you for that very kind introduction. Very, very kind indeed. It's a privilege for me to address this distinguished audience as the guest of honor. I extend greetings for the new year to all the participants in this wonderful conference. and bring to you a realistic hope, a realistic message of hope for the future, though 2020 was a forgettable year for a lot of us. Around this time, as Sanjay said, I write an annual paper, and last time I called it the tipping point because I expect the world to tilt. And the world did tilt, as a result of which we saw so many lives lost, livelihoods lost, businesses hit, some damaged for good, some limping back, and a few actually thriving because of this massive tipping that has happened. I want to use the next 10, 12 minutes to explain how this tilt that the world has had is going to be advantages for innovative chemical engineers. Innovative people. Why only chemical engineers? There were always many
Please proceed, sir.
You're on mute, Raj.
Yeah, yes, sir. Please proceed, sir. You are audible. Yeah,
Mr. Rajnair, you're on mute, please. Can you please unmute?
Sorry. Yeah. Please unmute yourself,
Mr.
sir.
Rajnair, sir. Yeah, you're on mute, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you can't hear me. Can you?
Yeah, yes.
We can hear you.
You can hear me. And you didn't hear anything so far, right? Hello?
Carry on from
proceed,
tipping
Did you hear
point.
nothing so far?
Yeah, please.
We didn't hear the last 1 minute. Yeah.
Okay. So all I want to say is that the world is tipped, and on account of the fact that the world is tipped, there have been lots of changes that has happened, a lot of suffering, and a lot of good things are going to happen in the future too. There are many unsolved big problems, which as I explained, have been postponed by kicking the can further down the road. It is not possible to do that anymore because there's a deep sense of urgency now in the minds of business leaders, in the minds of politicians, people at large. If it is seen to be urgent and big, billions of dollars will be spent on it. That may not have happened 2 years ago. So the question to you is, how do we approach solutions to these big problems, big and urgent problems? More research, more capital investment, more brainstorming, more conferences like this? Probably not, because these are all necessary conditions and not a sufficient condition. What then is the missing sufficient condition? Well, the missing sufficient condition is not lack of engineering knowledge. It's something that is available within each one of us, but we don't use it because we're not trained to use it. Therefore, big problems keep accumulating and growing each year. Take, for instance, vaccine development. There was a logical belief that a vaccine cannot be developed and deployed in humans in less than 4 years. Most vaccines actually took longer. And 6 to 10 years is par for the course. Now, it's incredible that people could actually do it in less than 1 year in 2020. Something changed the mindset of researchers, of regulators, the mindset of volunteers for trials, and even vaccine manufacturers. Each of them changed their mindset, and that's why we have 6 candidates already approved, and there are 244 in line. Imagine Serum Institute in Pune, which started manufacturing millions of doses of Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine long before phase 2 and phase 3 trials were completed. The vaccine chain shifted from parallel processing to shifted to parallel processing from serial processing, when the given wisdom was that vaccines have to be made serially because there are many stage gates in the process, and at each stage gate, many candidates get thrown out. But the world tilted so badly that everyone's mindset changed and said, hey, we have to try parallel processing because it's urgent. COVID-19 became the world's biggest problem, and soon enough, the mindset changed. There was also a mindset change at the research level, as I mentioned earlier. The husband and wife team of German researchers of Turkish origin, Ugur Sahin and Özlem Tureki, were professors at a medical college up until 2001. Then they set up a research company to work on cancer therapy. Later, they sold it and set up BioNTech in 2008. They kept looking for new types of solutions, not more of the same, or more efficient solutions compared to what is existing. They wanted a breakthrough. They thought, why not we rewrite the code of the RNA instead of tricking the immune system into thinking that there's attack by using dead viruses. 10 years later, they announced that they have a new technique called a messenger RNA or mRNA. And when COVID struck, Pfizer quickly tied up with them, and the rest is history. By the way, they are now worth $2.5 billion. Now, if that is fantastic, can you imagine what more this change of mindset from serial processing to parallel processing has set off? Many of you probably don't know that there's a project which started in August under the aegis of the Centers for Research in Emerging Infectious Diseases to get a vaccine for all kinds of epidemics in the future in 4 months. 4 months and not 6 to 10 years. They are creating a library of candidates, a huge library of candidates, which are being pre-tested now. So if a pandemic strikes in 2022, they would search the library for a similar, find it within 3 weeks, and be sure that these 2-3 candidates look good, and get it into phase 3 trials in 3 weeks' time, and get the phase 3 trials completed in 3 months. In parallel, the manufacturing would start, the distribution supply chain from the manufacturer to the affected regions, likely affected regions, would also happen in parallel. So parallel processing has become the norm. And so in the future, we may not face a pandemic of this magnitude unless the virus strain is not one of the hundreds of similars that are now being tested. Okay, so we could deal with new viruses in 4 months flat and prevent global spread. So that's radical innovation, which is possible because of the mindset change and global teamwork. So my message to you is that there's a need to change your mindset if we want to succeed big time. There is a reason why not everybody can create an Amazon, a Facebook, a Microsoft, an Alibaba, a Tesla, etc. I think there are 3 ways to change the mindset to create a new world. The first is getting rid of the shortage mindset. Allow me to take you back to India in the 60s. On the one hand, you have the shortage of almost everything, be it rice or milk or wheat or fruits or whatever. And on the other hand, the shortage of industrial raw materials, consumables, finished goods, capital goods, logistics facilities, and investable funds. So the 70s and 80s were not much better, but what all this did is to create a permanent imprint, almost permanent imprint in our mind of shortage. Even though we had a liberalization, economic liberalization in 1991, that shortage mindset still rules our mind. It makes us set unreasonable constraints before we start a journey of problem solving. We as engineers, we are taught to think like that. You know, there's a shortage of resources, of talent pool, of money or time, and we call them boundary conditions. Or some people call it realism. It's this kind of shortage mindset which creates this so-called realism, which prevents us from finding breakthrough solutions. It prevents us from seeing what could be done if these constraints didn't exist. So this is a global problem. It's not just India, but it's much worse in India for reasons which I explained. But this shortage mindset can be overcome if you consciously practice to challenge it every day. It will disappear. Take another example, water. There's going to be a great water shortage in the world. In the next 3 years, 22 cities in India are going to run dry. Agriculture, and that includes Hyderabad, by the way. Agriculture is going to face challenges. It will be difficult to set up new process plants in India, even if only modest amount of water is required. there is scope to reduce water consumption in agriculture by 50 to 70% by using various techniques. There's scope to get close to net zero water consumption in many manufacturing plants if we put our minds to it. There's drinking water shortage problem, but for which there are many solutions being tried out. I don't want to get into that right now. Of course, you must take up these challenges as chemical engineers. But let's go beyond that and understand why there is a shortage. You know, we are only using 3% of the water on our planet and in our atmosphere. And therefore, we are constantly trying to divide that 3% amongst various potential users. And as the demand rises, we try and find more and more efficient ways to conserve that 3%. It's not increasing. What if we were to focus on the 97% water, which is not utilizable at the moment? We may not have to waste time dividing what we have. Instead, we may have a very green planet with deserts receding. So stop thinking of a shortage and figure out how to tap at least 10% of the 97%, and you'll create a new world. Professor Belfort, who spoke a little while ago, gave us some ideas on how membranes can be much more efficient, probably several times much efficient, and the cost of desalination might become very, very low. And then there's no problem of getting all the seawater. And if we get the seawater, we're going to get a lot of marine chemicals on the side. Okay, so it's all about the kind of research which Professor Belfort talked about. Find a breakthrough to get desalination to become dirt cheap. You might think it's not possible. We also thought this about our telephony in India. It was hugely constrained and expensive, but today the bandwidth has become plenty and almost free. It took someone with a different mindset to change it all. Left to BSNL and MTNL, we would be not attending this conference today online. Likewise, we have lived through centuries of shortage of energy. When there are so many chemical engineers around, why can there not be a complete mind shift change from energy shortage to energy surplus? I know it's easy for me to say that, but I'm just presenting a challenge in front of you. You know, the sun casts 430 quintillion joules of energy per hour on the earth. That is 430 into 10 raised to 18. Do you know how much energy is used to manage the whole earth? Just 0.01% of that. So imagine the amount of energy available. But we yet spend all our money, a lot of our money on, we have spent in the last 50 years, a lot of our money on researching how to capture more and more fossil fuels since they're depleting at the higher levels and we're to go down into the sea, go sideways and all kinds of things. This weakness of ours has been exploited by strategists in the OPEC. Whenever they saw research dollars going into alternative energy research, they dropped the oil prices, just that a little enough. And lo and behold, funding for alternative energy stopped because renewables didn't seem economically exciting in the short term. So we have to get rid of the shortage mindset. The second way is to change the paradigm. The vaccine is an example of how a paradigm was changed. We always think that there are good solutions within the existing paradigm, so we keep working within it. There are many more problems that can be solved if we get out of it. I will not talk about EVs replacing IC engines. That's an old story. We know that pesticides is a huge problem. We are trying hard to reduce the problem by 30 to 60% by genetically making certain crops more pest resistant. Agricultural scientists know that when pesticides are sprayed, about 33% fall on the plant. The rest falls, where? Falls outside. But do you know that actually 1% of all the pesticide that is sprayed actually gets absorbed by the plant? Much more may be falling on the plant. Only 1% gets absorbed in the plant. The remaining 99% pollutes the food chain, the rivers, the lakes, etc. And we have a big problem. The world is desperately looking to you for solutions. Now, there's a certain Dr. Greg Lowry at Carnegie Mellon who is desperate, who has developed gold nanoparticle coating for crop chemicals and nutrients, whereby the crop chemical can now go straight through the stomata on the leaf into the plant. It slips through the two stomatal guarding cells, which prevent anything from entering the stomata. Okay. Now this, with the gold nanoparticles, you can trick it to allow it to enter. Now, this has been established in the lab. Now, you chemical engineers can design and manufacture nanoparticle coating systems, application equipment, protocols, etc., and thus solve a huge human and environmental problem. Are you ready as engineers to collaborate with research labs to take this into the field? Now, talking about gold nanoparticles, the Biosciences and Bioengineering Department at IIT Bombay developed technology to kill cancer tumors by transporting gold nanoparticles into the tumor on microscopic scaffolds and then heating them up using a laser beam on the tumor. No chemo required, no radiation, and this will be just a treatment in the OPD of a hospital, 20 minutes, 2 sittings. Now, it'll have a huge impact. Now, are you prepared to develop and design and develop manufacturing devices which will actually help to deliver this? If you're ready, there's a great opportunity waiting because a lot of dollars will be spent. And the third approach could be to cross the domain of knowledge. If you look beyond your core domain, you can borrow and adapt knowledge from various diverse areas. We saw today, the whole lecture by Dr. Belford was about biotechnology. He's a chemical engineer. Crossed over and picked up knowledge there, and he's now using chemical engineering to do amazing things. So there are lessons to be learned from textiles, from biotechnology, from physics, from material science, from data science, from artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and a whole lot of digital technologies. So if you look beyond yourself and your team for formal and informal partnerships, you can make stunning innovations. Unfortunately, there's time only for one example, and that's what I'll do before I stepped off. There's something in swimwear that can set you thinking. Hundreds of swimming records have been broken in the last 10 years by wearing Speedo's fast skin because it reduces the drag. Fast skin uses fabric whose surface has been modified at the microscopic level to resemble the skin of sharks. The Speedo partnered with textile innovator HiQ Partners in Switzerland to get this technology to make fabric of that kind. Can you not borrow the idea to create nano patterns on the surface of heat exchangers and make them super efficient? That means that either the plate does faster heat transfer, and therefore the process is more efficient, or the size of the heat exchanger could be reduced. So less metal use, less ore mined, less energy, less pollution. Quite a breakthrough in the making. I will stop here because I have full faith in the creativeness of Indian chemical engineers who will think of 100 more ideas. If you change your mindset and dare to dream big from today onwards, I will feel that the purpose of my talk has been fulfilled, and India will have a lot to thank you for in 2021 and beyond. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Raj, for very enlightening talk. Your vision, and then that's a challenge now for all of us in chemical engineering community that we develop innovations and which will benefit society and all of us, industry, everyone. And thank you very much for sparing time and sharing your vision with us, all of us. Grateful to you. Yeah, over to now Dr. Vijit for next program. Dr. Avijit, please, next scheduled program we can go to now. Sir, you're on mute, sir. Sir, can you please unmute?
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir.
Hello, is it?
Dr. Basavrao.
Hello, unmute. Yeah, am I audible?
Sanjay sir, you please unmute yourself.
Okay. I was saying that
Yeah.
Abhijit
Am I
and
audible now?
yeah, now it's audible, sir. Yeah.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Rajnarayan, for delivering a nice lecture. And I also thank Dr. Sanjay Bharadwaj for inviting Mr. Rajnarayan and introducing a very great personality to the IICHE. I think we will have a continuous support from him in the coming years. Thank you, sir. Now I request Professor P. Day, past president of IICHE, and who has done tremendous service to the IICHE and also continuously advising the IICHE office bearers in all the aspects. And I request now Professor P. Day to address the gathering in this valedictory function. Sir.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening. You have
Yeah,
put
yes,
me
sir.
a very
Yes,
tough.
yes.
Anyway, thank you, Professor Basavrao, and 3 past presidents in the Osmania University campus, and 1 in the screen, Professor Srivastav, Professor Belfort, the chief guest, and Mr. Raj Nayar and Dr. Sainar, the guest of honor at the valedictory function, and the president-elect, he has left perhaps, and the present council members, past council members of the institute, and executive committee member of Hyderabad Regional Center. The leadership goes to Dr. Bharadwaj. So, and participant, I think.
Not audible.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, sir, for giving us ideas and your so many ideas you gave us. I remember whenever we interacted with you. Thank you so much.
अरे ऐसा मत कीजिए.
Sanjay, it is not completed.
Oh, okay.
Dr. Sanjay.
Yeah.
Let sir speak.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Let me say few words. I am not going
please
to
mute yourself.
delay all of you. It is 6:56. So we are 1 hour behind the schedule. So owing to my association with IICHE for last 4 decades, I have been witnessing so many ups and downs in IICHE. And when the year 2020 came, in the month of March, when the COVID pandemic situation came into the picture, and thereafter the lockdown, and when the lockdown was going to be extended again and again, I was apprehending that the activities of IICHE were going to be jeopardized. Let me say that Professor Basavrao inadvertently indicated me as guest of honor. I am not guest of honor. So let me continue with. And I was seriously thinking what IIC should do under this pandemic situation. And secondly, when Bhubaneswar Regional Center, who was supposed to organize the CHEMCON this year, they declined to host the CHEMCON due to this pandemic situation. It was a terrible upset news to me, because in the calendar of IICHE, it would be recorded there was no Indian Chemical Engineering Congress in 2020. But I would say the leadership of Professor Basavrao and the team member in the council, they have shown inner resilience and have some great deal of commitment to overcome the problems. And to say so, let me tell you, in the regular way, what IICHE could do every year, this year perhaps due to pandemic situation, as Mr. Raj Nair just pointed out, the change in mindset. So that change in mindset in the council members has yielded some benefit to the IICHE. Because so many programs have been organized during the year which could not be done in earlier years. And also, as has been mentioned earlier by some of the speakers, that within a month, IICHE headquarters and Hyderabad Regional Center took the courage to organize CHEMCON, of course under the leadership of Professor Basov Rao and the whole council. And it was a really terrific, I would say, that awesome, fabulous arrangement has been made this CHEMCON during this CHEMCON. I have heard 3 memorial speakers. I have heard Dr. Renu Swarup, I have heard Professor Belfort, Dr. Sainath and Mr. Raj Nair. All the lectures were superb, I would say. And there were so many technical sessions. As a whole, it was, I would say, commendable. I would congratulate the whole council and I would extend my heartfelt thanks to the executive committee members of the Hyderabad Regional Center for showing the great interest and making the program a grand success. So thank you, and I would request the President, you have so many things to do, so you finish it at the earliest opportunity. And Happy New Year to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I wish the same. And actually, you are constantly supporting the IICT, sir, because you are stationed very near to the headquarters. So your advices are very much useful during this pandemic situation. And we thank from the Valedictory platform for extending the full support to the council members and also the office bearers who are outgoing. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And also we extend same support to the new coming president and also office bearers.
Our president तो भाग गया था, हम क्या करें?
Thank you for gracing this occasion.
Congratulations, Professor Jha. No, I would like to convey congratulations to Professor Jha.
Thank you, sir.
And I
Thank you very
congratulate
much,
Basov Rao
now
to become the member of the our club. That is past president club.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sir, now next is the introduction of the new office bearers. New office bearers of IICHE, who have been elected in the first council meeting, which held today at 2:30 p.m. Yeah. Now I introduce and with the congratulations, the Professor M.K. Jha, who has been elected as a president for the year 2021. So please welcome him, and I also personally welcome Professor Jha, and who is known to the IICHE and who has been elected for number of I think three times to the council, and he is also worked in as a treasurer and also one of the vice president previously, and he is a very committed person and very knowledgeable, and he having a experience in dealing with the persons as a director of the institute. So I welcome, sir. Under your guidance, IICHE will further, improve and develop. Yeah, please. After that. Yeah, next. Next, Vice President. Vice President, one Mr. Praveen Saxena. I think he was also the, yeah. And another Vice President, Professor Balasubramaniam from Anna University. Professor Balasubramaniam? Hello, is there? Yeah, he is the second Vice President.
He has gone to
And,
enjoy.
then Honorary Secretary is, yeah. Professor Balasubramaniam was controller of the examinations in 2020, and he also served the council IICHE as the coordinator of the online summer intensive programs, and his services are well recognized, and he has been upgraded as a vice president for this year. Sir, welcome, sir. Yeah. So, he is the Praveen Saxena, and he is the vice president elected this year, and he was also the vice president. So he is very famous and permanent in council, AICH council, and he supports in all the means. Yes.
He supports everything.
Like physically and whatever council wants, he will support, and very nice person, very jovial, and he like a family. He feels that IICH is also a part of his family. So I welcome, sir. I think next year also you will continue the efforts of the IICH. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, thank you. Thank you, sir.
By giving me and giving this responsibility of again the vice president, I will try to fulfill the desire of ICHE members. They have given me this responsibility, and I will do my best to achieve the whatever the responsibility you have given to be a vice president. Try to give my best and prove that your decision, and I will prove myself trustworthy. So you have shown me the trust, and will do this. Thank you very much. Thank you to all the council members that they have again given me this responsibility. I will do it. और जैसा कि बसव ने बोला कि अब IICHE को मैं अपने परिवार की तरह वाकई मानूं. Pandemic था इसलिए मेरी पोती नहीं आई. Otherwise, she's 5 years old. She attended all the CHEMCON, all the 5 CHEMCONs of her life. So that is my attachment with IICHE, and I will try to fulfill this in my coming years also. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I introduce Dr. Avijit Ghosh. He is the honorary secretary during my term, and also he has been elected this year as an honorary secretary. So he is very committed person. And last year, we have at least, let him respond later, but I should say that he is my son, and he has extended his full cooperation and dedication. And you see, during the pandemic situation, when the lockdown was there in Calcutta, and he used to go there and open the office, and used to work with all the staff of our headquarters, and many problems he sorted out there. And now, as one of the past president, Bhaskar Reddy sir rightly said that he tried to remove the waste from the whatever is there in the history of this IICHE, and he is trying to regularize all the activities of the IICHE, and also initiated the standing operating procedures in accounting, as well as also he has maintained the hierarchy in the headquarters, like the information should not percolate from the subordinate to directly to any person, and it has to pass through the hierarchy. So such type of many initiatives he has taken there, and now because of him I did not have any problem, and I should be thankful to the Dr. Avijit, and I think same thing he will extend during the period of Professor M.K. Jha. I introduce Dr. Avijit Ghosh as a new honorary secretary of IICHE.
It is my great privilege to continue another 1 year as a honorary secretary. I first thanks to all the esteemed council members for giving me opportunity to serve the institute at my best level, what I can do. And as presidents had told, that nothing to more add. Whatever I did and whatever for institute we have tried to do, that is only person behind that was the president. So I think whenever we feel anything, so he used to extend his all full support. Whatever I thought that this has to be done immediately review. And I already explained or told from many meetings that we used to speak every day at least minimum 1 hour in telephone, and sometimes during the programs. So 2 hours, 3 hours, and online meeting, both myself and president only we used to write the minutes. I don't think any secretary and president was jointly writing minutes by sitting online. But this year, every minutes we have written by 3 hours, 4 hours time spent after the council meeting. So maybe all the members may not know, but everything we did, I learned a lot of things what I was not earlier, that knowledge I was not there. So many things I learned from the President, Professor Basavarao. So I thought I will same and more, whatever my capacity is there, I will extend to Professor M.K. Jha also. And he also one of the pillar in our team, apart from all the council member and office bearer. So we never face any problem, any difficulties from my office bearers, any of the office bearer and council member. So that is the great things what I feel, that all the council members are supported me a lot. So thank you very much to all the members, and most importantly, our seniors, members, past presidents, and all well-wishers and headquarters staffs. Most importantly, all the staffs extended their full cooperation. I never find any non-cooperation from any staff. Whatever it was, I tried to make their problem sort it out through the council meeting and regularize the things for their better the future service life at IICG headquarters. I hope I will again try to do this with your all kind support. Thank you very much.
You have not mentioned, you have created the transparency in the working of headquarters. So please maintain, and really I appreciate this. Within 2 minutes, within the hours, the day, you we get a minutes, and you have given really a transparent working. So this culture should continue in the IICG.
Thank you, Dr. Avijit. Now I request newly elected the honorary secretary and to introduce the remaining office bearer.
So thank you, sir. So the joint secretary unanimously elected by the council to Professor Madhu Agarwalji. I think we should congratulate. Sorry, the Radhakrishnan ji, Professor Radhakrishnan ji. Actually, he was my time joint secretary, so it is my mistake. So Professor Radhakrishnan ji, I think you is there. I think Radhakrishnan ji, please you can say. And he was earlier also in our council. Many times we discussed. He was in the award committee, and I had a lot of discussion whenever I feel any by regional center is not submitting their accounts, not getting annual report. Just WhatsApp message, he used to get it done. He persuasion did as a council member, and this time council entrusted as a joint secretary. So Radha Krishnanji, please, you may have, you can respond, and I. Okay, so next, I'll introduce the unanimously elected treasurer, Dr. MP Jain. So MP Jain has been elected. He was also last year in the council, and he has been elected unanimously as a treasurer. So this is a very vital role. Earlier, Professor M.K. Jha was dealt with the treasurer post. So and MP Jain was the finance committee chairman. So he also used to consult many issues of the finance related headquarter. We did many finance committee meetings and we sought out many issues. So under the, again, guidance of the MP Jain, hope we will do things more clear and do the right step for the institute benefit. So MP Jain, sir, please, if you can introduce or you can respond.
Hello, I am MP Jain actually.
Yes, sir.
I thank the council for electing me as treasurer, and I'll try to do my best, whatever is possible for IICHE. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And next, the honorary register post. It is unanimously elected to my friends, Dr. Gaurav Ratan, who was earlier also registered. Always we used to work together. Any constitutions related, membership related issues, he full supported. And I hope that this year also he will be continuing as the same spirit and motivation to the institute. So Gaurav, please, you can respond, sir. Okay, I think he may be busy with other works. So next, the controller of examinations. So which was earlier Professor Bala Subramaniam. This time he became a vice president. Now the responsibility is handed over to the sincere most council members in the present council, to Dr. Madhu Agarwala. He was earlier joint secretary. We did a lot of work, many programs, coordination we did together. So, and as he belongs to also academic institution, so council entrusted her to build the joint controller of examinations. So madam, please, if you are there, you can respond. And we had a ex officio editor for the Indian Chemical Engineering Journals, Professor S. Basu. That is the ex officio member. He's he's in 5th year tenure. So he also in the this office bearer unanimously again he continue as it is. His tenure is another 1 year is there. So on behalf of the institute, I would like to again congratulate to all the members for new office bearer team and to make the ICHE again further grow and bigger. So now I'm requesting
Thank you, Dr. Avijit. Now I request newly elected president, Professor M.K. Jha, to address the gathering.
President Professor Baswa Rao, Secretary, all the past presidents who are sitting here, and organizer of CHEMCON 2020. So first of all, I would like to convey my sincere thanks to all the honorable council members for their the response in electing me vice president, for putting me. In the last year, what happens? It is Professor Baswa Rao and his team has done a commendable work. Dr. Abhijit, as a secretary, also has done many things, and this all things will be remembered as a golden word, you can say, in the history of IICHE. And I have no other option to proceed further with their guidance also. So Professor Baswa Rao will be in the council, not as a president, as an immediate past president, as a council member also. He's also a very good friend me. So I will take his suggestions and all these things in the future. And I don't want to take much time of all of you. The only thing is we will let you know in the future, and we will try our best that the name of this ISCHE should further grow in the future. Thank you.
Now, some of the council members who were co-opted in the last year, so because as per the constitution, the co-option will be 1 year. So they, because even though we are not liking them to retire, but as per the constitution guidelines, there is no other option. And during this valedictory function, we would like to place on the records their services. They have also extended full cooperation. So now I request Dr. Avijit to read the council members who were co-opted and who are retiring this year.
Thank you, sir. This year from East Zone, we have co-opted Mr. Kollan Kumar Basu, sir. He is also a very active member of Calcutta Regional Center. Earlier, he was involved in the Northern Regional Center. He served the council in different capacities, and he is the one of the main person to guide me each and every step when I feel to talk. Every time he used to extend his guidance and suggestions and motivation. So though we could not meet this year due to this pandemic, but due to his health issue also in the March, we could not meet. But after that, this pandemic issue due to we could not meet. But every issue we used to discuss together, and he took part almost all the council meeting. All the council meetings, he took part all the finance committee meetings, other committee meetings, wherever he has been given the responsibility to serve to the institute, and his valuable guidance in the finance committee, we could sort it out many issues, and we are following that also. We have taken the resolution. So I used to like to thanks to from the whole IICH team. Sir, thank you for your valuable service, and I hope next also, whenever council will entrust you, we will continue. And we had a ex officio AICT nominee, Professor Sapkalji. He also participated in many discussions. Due to this pandemic also, he could not meet, but during the council meeting from his busy schedule also he attended. So again, we will be expecting that he will continue after the duly approved by the AICT. So, and we also congratulate and thanks to the Professor Sapkalji for your the service to the IICH and guidance to the IICH Council. Thank you, sir. So, Kollan Basu, sir, if you want to say a few words, you can say, sir.
Yeah, hello. Good evening to everybody.
There, Basu, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
So it was a
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Privilege to be associated with IICH as a council member, which I also had experienced a few years back. And I had long association with Northern Regional Center when I was working in Delhi zone as having a job there. And then in Calcutta Regional Center, the present situation. Institute has passed through very difficult time in the last 1 year. And the Abhijit Ghosh knows our efforts in different times. 3 years back, we had held a very successful seminar in Kolkata when Professor P. Dey was president, and I was very deeply associated with that and gave me pleasure. And in November 19, we had a similar seminar under the aegis of Calcutta Regional Center, which was also very successful, both attendance-wise and finance-wise. So actually, it gives me a pleasure to be associated with such events whenever I get opportunity. And in future also, if whatever help is required, everybody, Professor Jha, Professor Vasavarao, Vijit, you are all welcome to contact me. If it is possible for me, I will definitely advise and also participate personally once this pandemic issue is bed down. And after such a long experience in the industrial world for nearly 50 years, a lot of things keep coming to mind. And IICHE is very close to my heart, although I have not been able to always participate in a big way because of my professional involvement in my companies. Anyway, thank you very much once again for giving me that opportunity. And I am particularly thankful for the great arrangement I saw in this CHEMCON 2020. Dr. Sanjay Jha has done a great job along with Professor Vasav Rao and others. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Before handing over the President Medal to the newly elected President, I would like to thank Professor G.D. Yadav, and who extended his full support, unconditional support, whenever we were in problem, and he has guided us in a right direction. And also the A. Bhaskar Reddy Garu, who has given the support when we are really in a very, no, what should I say, that whether we have to take, whether go ahead or no, or stop. Sometimes I felt that I should quit from the IICHE. It is my inner feeling. So because of their strength which they have gained, so I continued this, and I should place in regards the guidance extended by Seturaman sir also, and spiritually used to tell many things to me, and I completely transformed because of his words. I must be thankful to him, and also the Professor S. Venkateswar sir, who has supported us, IICHE, and particularly, my two vice presidents, the Praveen sir. Whenever I say him that, sir, I am having lot of pain, and he used to tell many alternatives that, and also I should say that he used to give some medicine so that I used to come back in the normalcy. And particularly my friends from the College of Technology and NFC, Rangarao Garu, at the age of 80 years, I think 80, sir. Yeah, 80 years. He worked like 18 years boy for the taking care of the transportation and the hospitality of this one. And this CHEMCON is having a very special thing which we should also place in record, that more than 50% women supporters are there. Our technical session committee chairperson, Professor Shashikala Madam, and publication committee chairperson Sheila Madam. They were supported by Kavita Madam and Jyoti and other Mukunda Vani, Nagaprapurna. So many women force. I believe that, and also in headquarters, I should place that. See, I asked Avijit not to take mail. Because of that, because if I don't know whether it is proper to say here or not, but if we take a woman or a female, they work full time, and after their work, they just go and take care of their home. Because of that, whatever we did experiments, and yeah, sincerely they work. So that has been worked out, and two ladies who accompanied Dr. Avijit and traveled all the distance from Calcutta to here during the pandemic situation, and extended the assistant to the Dr. Avijit also to be placed on the records in the vote of thanks. And also VK Srivastava sir, P. Day sir, and BB Paira sir, BK Datta, DP Mishra, and Ganeshan, and AK Mitra. They have given and molded me in a different person. So I thank them on this platform, and particularly Professor S.V. Satyanarayana, who is very good friend of me, and also immediate past president. He helped in all the aspects. I should be thankful to him, and I should be thankful to one more person, my student S. Ilaya, who has done commendable work in publication team, and he has brought out a very good souvenir. Of course, in the formal vote of thanks, it will be taken care. And Bhaskar and Vijaykanth, who were with me during all the 3 days, and they have taken care of me. And particularly Dr. Pawan, who also helped, assisted me, and by taking the spontaneous decisions. And I must be thankful to him, and particularly Rajamahendra Reddy Garu, who has given no immediate acceptance when we were in a difficult situation for the having a very technical sessions. And also CP Ramulu is also supported me. So I must be thankful, and at this junction, I don't have any words to say. So as Professor Jha is taking over, so I give my full support to you, sir. And because it is IICH is our beloved institute, so we should be work for the progress of that. So my full support will be there. Whichever work is there, without any hesitation, you please ask me, I will do it, sir. Thank you, each one of you. Now the handing over the president medal to the newly elected president.
So I'm requesting President Professor M.K. Jha to give the presidential medal to the outgoing president, to Professor Basavarao. So thank you, sir. Now the felicitation program already yesterday completed. I just quickly read the those students got their best paper award throughout the technical session. So just I'll read the first author name and their institute name and abstract ID. The full list will be displayed in the ICH website within couple of days. So you can get details from there. And the certificate would be released from the IICH for the best paper certificate as well as the participation certificate. From the NMN 1 session, the abstract ID OP 01002, the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay, the student received the best paper award. The name of the student is Krishnamurthy, Sainath, Akshay Modi, Jayesh Balab. So please congratulate them and give your put your hands together to motivate the students for their best presentation during this CHEMCON 2020. Next, session 2, NMN 2, abstract ID 11. The author's name is Jitendranath Sivastava Sanjeev Kumar Gupta from Hatkor Butler University of Technology, University, Kanpur. So please congratulate them. Then EN1 abstract ID 02. Ritesh Pandar Bimal Chandra Sivastrava, Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee. So congratulate to you both for your best presentation. Then same session, the session 2, EN session 2, abstract ID 14. The best paper award goes to Anupam Mukherjee, Anirban Roy, Siddhartha M. Maulik from BITS Pilani, Goa. Then EN3, abstract ID 27, Subhani Paliwal from Birla Institute of Technology and Science, Pilani, Hyderabad. From BFT Session 1, abstract ID 5, Varsa D. Swant, Siddhiganga Institute of Technology, Tumkur. The PRP Session 1, abstract ID 2, SR Dhansukhodi. The institute name, I think due to some reason, institute name is not mentioned. However, we'll find it out from the detailed registration detail and we'll be correcting when we'll upload before the website. Then PMS 1, abstract ID 2, the authors Jaspinder Kaur, Anurag Kumar Tiwari, Jitendra Kumar Ratan from Dr. B.R. Ambedkar National Institute of Technology, Jalandhar. PMS 2, abstract ID 18, Rehan Richen, Jyoti 30, University College of Technology, Osmania University. Please give a big round of applause for all of the above mentioned students. Next, the GCH1, abstract ID 4, Sabrajit Roy, Saikat Chakraborty from Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. OCH Session 1, abstract ID 7, Kamal Desai, Sapnil Dharaskar, Pandit Deendayal Petroleum University, Gandhinagar, Gujarat. OCH 2, abstract ID 18, DP Deshpande and Vivek R from DY Patel Institute of Engineering Management, BITS Pilani campus. Then the session 13, NMN 3, abstract ID 23, the authors of the paper is Partho Markarna, Anirban De, Pandit Deendayal Petroleum University, Gujarat. NMN session 4, abstract ID 35, Mahan Sini and Chetty Babu, Andhra University, Visakhapatnam. EN session 4, abstract ID 37, Dibya O. Triva, Ritesh R. Palkar, Faculty of Technology, Marwadi University, Rajkot. EN 5, abstract ID 47, Sarnaya Lima Rose, Algappa College of Technology, Anna University. EN 6, Nilesh Vijay Rane and A.V. Pandit, Institute of Chemical Technology, Mumbai. BFT 2, abstract ID 16, Adimolam and Mahadevan, Anna University, Chennai, and CSIR Central Leather Research Institute. PSM 3, Manohar Prasad, Siddhartha Sengupta, IIT ISM Dhanbad, Jharkhand. PSM 4, abstract ID 32, D. Sahu, Nikam Suresh, IIT ISM Dhanbad. OCH 3, session 21, abstract ID 21, Anikara, Kiruba, and Dharani Chitrita, SCTech and Anna University, Chennai. OCH 4, abstract ID 42, S. Ilaya, B. Sattavati, B.V. Basavarao, University College of Technology, Usmania University. So please give a big round of applause to all of the successful awardees and best paper awardees candidate. We'll send the certificate through online. You can download the certificate from the website after, I think, within 1 week. So thank you. Well, once again, I congratulate. So with this, I end to the valedictory program. Now I have been given an opportunity to put formal vote of thanks, though many the members already given thanks. So I'll very brief, I'll mention, which is most important part of any program. That is the finance part. The acknowledgement of the sponsor or advertiser has to be recorded properly. So my first and sincere thanks goes to all the advertisers, sponsors, and the well-wishers, those who have contributed to make this event financially strong and successful. Namely, Bhagirath Chemicals and Industrial Limited, Hyderabad, Reliance Industries Limited, Inventa Industries Limited, Industry Private Limited, Clears, Blast Carbo Blocks Private Limited, that is our own sponsor, you can consider from the Saxenergy. So the best thing is that we whenever we fill any program, first thing mind ask Saxenergy to money for money, and Saxenergy always say, okay ठीक है कितना चाहिए, दिल बड़ा होना चाहिए, छोटा नहीं होना चाहिए. तो दिल हम लोग भी बड़ा करके बोलते हैं, लेकिन छोटा करके देते हैं. तो yes. So thanks to Emerson's Nuclear Fuel Complex, Hyderabad, Mathusri Engineering, Photon Life Science, Rizal, Excel Tech, Ullas B. Fakers, and most importantly, best compliments received from our honorable former presidents, Mr. Bhaskar Reddy sir and G.V. Seturamanji sir. So this is our proud privilege to record their contribution to make this event within very short period of time, less than 30 days. Thank you once again to all the sponsors. So I'd like to extend my heartfelt thanks to all the EC members, including chairmen, honorary secretary, treasurers of the Hyderabad Regional Center for accepting our request and make this CHEMCON a mega event, grand success, jointly with headquarters. Please put hands together for Hyderabad Regional Center, Sanjay ji, CP Ramulu ji, and Misra ji, Rangarao ji, Sasikala madam, Sila madam, all others. If I forget, please pardon me. So all the EC members, they have extended their full support, and the hospitality they have extended throughout the days. It is always memorable. And Bhaskar Reddy sir yesterday says, so we make always memorable hospitality. If we go to Calcutta, there also we'll arrange. If you come to Hyderabad, we'll also arrange. So the host is always Hyderabad. So thank you, sir, your best things, compliment. And I'd like to extend my gratitude to all the participants. More than 250 students participated. 44 chairpersons coordinated this online session, and more than 23 student volunteers. Their contribution should be recorded because without their support, we could not complete this, the 22 parallel technical session without any difficulty. So thank you all the members of the technical committee, publication committee, finance committee, transport committee, food committee. Special thanks to food committee, and this hospitality goes to all the members who taken care till today, and I hope that they are going to take care all the tomorrow also, as we are going to tomorrow. The program is till the program end. So the hospitality they have provided, it is really memorable, and we enjoy the foods. And special thanks to the Raj Mahendra Reddy sir for his kind the acceptance immediately when we face little problem. I'd like to thanks to the principal of Usmania College. Without his support, we could not expect that CHEMCON can be happen at Hyderabad. Whenever we discuss with President sir, he told, okay, we'll talk to the Samsundarji and we'll get it approval. So, and it has been done without any query, without any difficulty. And he is also built the finance committee as a chairman, and they make this event financially also strong. Thank you, sir, for your leadership, guidance to make this event grand success. My last and final thanks goes to all the software teams, the support teams, camera person, and the Ardent Computer Tech Private Limited from Kolkata, where they are continuously these 3 days, they are extending their support whenever we face any problem. They are extending from there. So we should thanks to all the support team, logistics team, Krishna Neta, Ravi Neta, all Netas, our contribution should be recorded. And I'd like to thanks to the Pavan, Dr. Pavan. What I make a friend at Hyderabad, I think it would be a long life friends with Pavan. So the first instance, he came and he said, Abhijit ji, everything would be sorted out. Just give me five minutes. Just give me 5 minutes. And he did it. Within 5 minutes, he arranged this hospitality. But we took half an hour to decide whether we will go or whether we can manage it here. So such a commendable decision what Pawan takes. I must thanks to the Pawan, Dr. Pawan, for the kind support extension. Yeah. So I'd like to thank the others, the persons, Mr. Raj Mahendra Reddy, Mr. Arvindra from Bhagirathi Chemicals, Dr. Pawan Kumar, Mr. S. Ailaya, Mr. Vijay Kant, Mr. Bhaskar, and all other volunteers of Usmania University's students and Hyderabad Center's EC members and normal members, because more than 30 members came to attend the AGM, which we could not expect before we was allotting the AGM would be held at Hyderabad. So that was a big support we received from Hyderabad. So we should keep it as in mind forever. And that what the Jhaji told, that we should be written is a golden words, that what we did in CHEMCON 2020, the Hyderabad extended their all support on greatest level. So thank you, sir. If I miss anyone, those who have involved directly, indirectly, those who have worked out of their box, and especially the Dhawalji sponsor the sanitizer to each participant here.
Sir, I thank Dawal and Pravinji for sanitizing outside and also inside.
So thank you, sir. It is yeah. So they have brought the sanitizer bottle. Whoever participated, they have gifted, and they have special thanks to Saxonaji. They have given one marks to me also in the same design of what tie we used to wear, and he used to give. So, but this was his earlier plan to offer a tie, but due to certain time limit, he could not make it. I requested next CHEMCON you should give the tie. Sorry, mask. Along with CHEMCON. So thank you, sir. And with this, I take all the, if anything we forget and whatever the inconvenience happen, I take all the responsibility in my shoulder as an honorary secretary of the institute. So please excuse me, and I hope that with your comments, with your criticism, with your guidance, we will definitely rectify all the whatever the fault if you observe. Next program, we will try to sort it out. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So finally, I request Dr. Sanjay, whose health is not well, and it's not permitting to join physically here, to respond, because he has also done the great job for guiding and leading this team to conduct the CHEMCON in a very short period of notice. So Dr. Sanjay.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
Yes. Dr. Sanjay, you please.
Thank you very much, sir. All our esteemed seniors and dignitaries and guests and all present in this today's valedictory function. I'm thankful to all of you, because you have blessed us, and then you gave us so much of strength by posing faith in our capability and resources that we can do this event in a way, befitting way. And then I must thank, I think, all the National Council members, our President, Professor Basavaraoji, and then seniors, Bhaskar Reddy ji, Sidhu Raman ji, and then our all council members, and then Praveen Saxena ji, who always were forthcoming in helping us in whatever difficulties we were falling in. They were saying, yeah, we will find a way out. And then, yeah, I must congratulate our new President, ISCHE, Dr. Jha, Professor Jha. I think, yeah, I wish and then I hope that our ISCHE flag will fly higher and higher under new leadership. And certainly we have tried our best. And then whatever faults have been during the organizing, I think as one of the organizing secretaries, we take the blame. So we will try to see that next event, whenever we do in Hyderabad chapter, by the way, something you are not happy with, we would try to circumvent those kind of flaws. And then you please excuse me, because of my some health issues, I couldn't join physically in the venue today. And then I congratulate all of you, yeah, to be here, whosoever is here now, and then even virtually as well as physically. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to, it's an honor actually to host this CHEMCON 2020. Thank you very much. I'm grateful to all of you. And I must put on record actually 2 or 3 of our EC members who have done marvelous job, and dedication was exemplary. I think I must mention them by name. Mr. Ranga Raoji, I think is like, I don't have words to express his dedication, his commitment. It was wonderful. I think we people, all of us should learn from the way he has done everything, right? And he led from the front. That's how we should all do. I think that because we should always try to see both positive and negatives. And then it's from my heart I'm saying, it's from my heart I'm saying,
night 11:30 he was with us.
Yeah, I think it's like family. I'm telling you, it's from my heart.
Yeah, Vijay also is a very sincere person. He also spent all the time during the night's time, particularly. He took us for food, everything he is taking care. So I must thanks to all of them.
Yeah, Dr. Vijit. And then Ilaiah also, like, one of the, I think it's like always
Yes,
available. Wonderful. He is a wonderful team member. I'm telling you, I'm fortunate to work with him. Like, it's like we can learn from these youngsters, like how they're committed to whatever you assign to them. And then I expecting everybody of the team, whether it's EC team of Hyderabad or EC team elsewhere, we should learn from such people. Like, they're really example for all of us. And then how selflessly they dedicate themselves. I think they should, other people should also do the same way. Then so ISCT reached new heights, and then we all feel happy and proud of ISCHE. So thank you very much. And then Shashikala ma'am and then Sheila ma'am did exemplary job by leading 2 teams. Shashikala ma'am led our technical session committee, and then Sheila ma'am led our committee for publishing this souvenir. I'm thankful to all of them, our chairpersons, and then our Shamsundar sir. He really helped us in many ways, including finance committee, whatever targets were given to finance committee, plus venue also. And then initially, whatever hiccups happened in the inaugural session, we tried to do almost like we were coining yesterday one term of crisis management. I think it was done with the help of our Raja Mahendra Reddy Garu, because without his help, it was not possible. We must all thank Raja Mahendra Reddy Garu for helping us in the crisis time when we were facing some kind of problems during inaugural ceremony. And then, our Pawan Garu was very helpful because we understood, it can't be continued in the premises of Usmania University College of Technology after having connectivity issues and all that. Then we very promptly decided to shift the venue to a place where we had very nice infrastructure, very good connectivity. I'm thankful to all the team members who participated in this event in whatever way. And then please forgive me if I forgot someone, because it may be by mistake or I forgot by chance. But I'm thankful to all of you for being part of this event in whatever fashion you have contributed. Thank you very much. I'm grateful to all of you.
So thank you, Sanjay. And I declare that CHEMCON 2020 is concluded. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
So we'll do the national anthem to make the concluding remarks. Before dispersing, we will go for national anthem.
Let us start.
Start, sir. Jana Gana Mana Odhinayaka Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Punjab Sindhu Gujarat Maratha Dravida Utkala Banga Jamuna Ganga Uchala Jaladhi Taranga Tava Shubha Name Jage तब शुभ आशीष मागे, गाहे तब जय गाथा। जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता। जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे। जय हिंद। अधिनायक